What is the sound of a word that has never been spoken? Not the sound of silence, for silence has its own deep and resonant peace. This is different. This is the sound of a scream held captive within the architecture of the throat, a truth locked behind the teeth, a river of feeling frozen at its source. It is a resonance of immense weight, a vibration that shapes your inner world, your choices, your energy, without ever once touching the air. It is the invisible anchor that holds you in place while the world rushes by. You feel its presence not as a sharp, identifiable pain, but as a quiet exhaustion, a fatigue that sleep cannot cure, a sense of disconnection that crowds only amplify. It is the feeling of being a stranger in your own skin, an actor playing a part so convincingly that you have forgotten the script was never yours to begin with. This is the burden of the modern soul, the quiet crisis unfolding behind smiling faces and busy schedules. We are told to be strong, to move on, to look on the bright side, and so we build monuments to our resilience, never admitting that their foundations are laid over an ocean of unspoken things. The weight of it all is not in the sorrow, or the anger, or the shame itself. The true weight is in the constant, silent, and monumental effort of pretending it isn't there. It is the energy you expend, day after day, to keep the floodgates closed. But there is a place, a space within you that has been waiting. It is not a destination you must travel to, but a reality you can awaken to. This journey, this time we share, is an invitation into that space. This is not an escape. It is a homecoming. We are not here to declare war on our shadows, to violently expel the darkness. That is the old way, a way of struggle that only creates more resistance. Instead, we are here to do something far more radical, far more powerful. We are here to listen, to turn inward with a courage that is softer and yet more profound than any external battle. We are here to finally hear the sound of the unspoken, to feel its texture, to understand its language. And in the simple, sacred act of acknowledgement, we will grant it the one thing it has always craved: release. Let us begin here, with the weight itself. Before we give it a name, before we assign it a story, let us simply acknowledge its presence. It is not a thought, it is a physical fact. A density in the center of your chest, a quiet pressure behind your eyes. It is the invisible gravity that makes rising from bed in the morning an act of Herculean effort. It is the slowness in your limbs when you wish to be quick, the fog in your mind when you crave clarity. This weight is the accumulated mass of 1,000 unspoken truths, 1,000,000 unfelt feelings. It is the energy of a life half lived, of a song half sung. It is the ghost of the person you might have been, sitting silently in the passenger seat of your own life. You have grown so accustomed to its presence that you have forgotten what it feels like to be without it. You have adjusted your posture, your gait, your very breathing to accommodate its shape and heft. Like a person who has carried a heavy backpack since childhood, you no longer notice the straps digging into your shoulders. You simply believe that this is what it feels like to walk, that this ache is an intrinsic part of being alive. This did not happen by accident. This weight is the result of a powerful and intelligent defense mechanism. At some point in your journey, likely long ago, your psyche determined that feeling a certain emotion or speaking a certain truth was not safe. To that younger, more vulnerable version of you, the world presented a choice. Either feel the full force of this pain and risk annihilation, or suppress it, lock it away, and survive. Your mind, in its incredible wisdom, chose survival. It created a system of denial and suppression, a loyal but misguided guardian whose sole purpose was to protect you. It learned to take the raw, chaotic energy of pain, grief, or rage and compress it into a dense, manageable, and silent form. It took a raging fire and smothered it until all that was left was a cold, heavy stone. And for a time this worked. It allowed you to function, to navigate the world, to build a life. You must honor this mechanism. It was your ally. It ensured your survival. But the contract of protection you signed long ago has expired. The Guardian, still standing at its post, does not realize the war is over. It continues to suppress, to deny, to add to the weight, believing it is still keeping you safe. But now, its protection has become your prison. The very thing that once saved you is now the source of your exhaustion. This is the central conflict that plays out within you, the silent civil war that drains your life force. There is a part of you, a whisper from your soul, that yearns for lightness. It sees other people laugh freely. It remembers a time when joy was not a distant concept, and it begs you, please, just put the weight down, speak the word, cry the tear. You will feel so much better. But then the Guardian, the old protector, rises up with terrifying force. Its voice is loud, logical, and full of fear. Do not listen, it commands. Do not touch it. Do not even look at it. This weight is all that is holding you together. If you acknowledge it, you will give it power. If you speak its name, it will become a monster that devours you whole. The dam you have so carefully constructed will shatter, and the flood will wash away not only you, but everyone you love. Your only safety lies in pretending it is not there. Keep busy, stay strong, do not be weak. This voice is incredibly seductive because it promises control. It offers the peace of the prisoner, a predictable and stable misery that feels safer than the terrifying, unknown freedom on the other side of the wall. It convinces you that the effort of holding the weight is noble, that it is a sign of strength, when in truth, it is the source of all your weakness. And here we arrive at the core message of our time together, a truth so simple and yet so transformative that it can change everything. The greatest burden you carry is not the pain itself. It is not the original wound, the ancient grief, or the forgotten anger. The greatest burden, the thing that is truly crushing you, is the colossal, unending, and exhausting effort of pretending it does not exist. The pain itself is a clean, pure energy. It wants to move, to be acknowledged, and to pass through you. It is the nature of energy to flow. The suffering, the true drain, comes from the architecture of containment. Imagine trying to hold a powerful beach ball underwater. The ball itself is light. The suffering comes from the constant, straining pressure required to keep it submerged. It is this pressure, this internal resistance, that manifests as anxiety, as depression, as burnout, as that indefinable, pervasive heaviness of being. You are not tired because you are weak. You are tired because you are secretly one of the strongest people you know, and you have been channeling that immense strength into the impossible task of holding a mountain of truth silent within you. So let us try a small experiment, a gentle first step. There is no need to open the floodgates. There is no need to tell your story to anyone, not even yourself, just yet. The first step is simply to stop pretending, to turn your awareness inward and face the sensation you have spent a lifetime avoiding. Right now, in this moment of quiet sanctuary, I invite you to turn your attention inward. If it feels safe for you, you may close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, let your awareness drop from your mind into your body. Ask a simple, gentle question. Where does the weight live in me? Do not search for it with your mind. Feel for it with your senses. Is it a tightness in your solar plexus, a familiar knot in your stomach? Is it a band of pressure around your head, or a strange hollow ache in your heart? Perhaps it is a general sense of being heavy, as if your very bones were made of lead. There is no right answer. Simply notice where your attention is drawn. Your only task right in this moment is to feel it, not to change it, not to fix it, or heal it, or judge it, or even understand it. Your only task is to offer it the warmth of your undivided attention, perhaps for the first time. Feel its shape, its texture, its temperature, and now, with a quiet, internal whisper, you simply name it for what it is. There it is, the weight. That is all. No story, no blame, no analysis, just a simple, profound acknowledgement. You are not the weight. You are the consciousness that is aware of the weight. In this moment, you have separated yourself from it. Let's try it again. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, feel its presence and acknowledge it. I feel you, the weight. Can you feel the subtle shift that occurs with this simple act? The resistance softens just a fraction. The energy it took to pretend is now freed up, and it is transformed into pure awareness. You are not fighting anymore. You are simply observing. You are being the space in which the sensation can exist without consuming you. This is the first step of the alchemical process. You are taking the invisible, unconscious burden and bringing it into the light of your conscious attention. You have stopped running from the ghost and have turned to face it. By simply acknowledging this weight, by giving it this small moment of recognition, you have performed a quiet miracle. You have begun to dissolve the illusion that you and your pain are one and the same. You have shifted from being its captive to being its witness. And as the witness, a new question can finally arise. A question that was impossible to ask when you were fused with the burden. If this is the weight, this undeniable sensation within me, what is the silence that gives it its form? What are the walls that hold it in place? Let us now turn our gaze toward the very architecture of that silence, for in understanding how we built the prison, we will find the key to the door. Having acknowledged the weight, we now turn to the vessel that holds it. For the weight does not simply float in a cosmic void. It is contained. It is held in place by a structure of profound complexity and strength, a marvel of psychological engineering designed for one purpose: your survival. This is the architecture of silence. It is the invisible fortress you have built around your heart, the soundproof room you have constructed inside your mind. Look closely. It was not built in a day. It was built over a lifetime, brick by painstaking brick. Each brick represents a time you learned that your truth was unsafe, that your feelings were inconvenient, or that your vulnerability would be used against you. Let us examine these bricks, for they are the very fabric of your prison. The foundation stone, the first one laid, is almost always the brick of shame. Shame is not the feeling that you did something wrong. That is guilt. Shame is the hot, searing belief that you are something wrong. It is the whisper that says, if they knew who you truly were, they would be disgusted. If they saw this part of you, they would leave. This brick was laid the first time your authentic expression was met with ridicule or rejection. And so you learned, this part of me must be hidden. This part must be silent. Upon this foundation, you laid the brick of guilt. This is the belief that your truth is a weapon that will wound those you love. If I speak my anger, I will shatter my mother's peace. If I admit my sadness, I will become a burden to my partner. If I set a boundary, I will be seen as selfish and unkind. And so, in a noble, misguided act of love, you chose to carry the poison yourself rather than risk harming another. You became silent to be kind. Then came the brick of misunderstanding. This is the deep, isolating belief that your experience is so unique, so strange, that no one else could possibly comprehend it. How could I explain this feeling? There are no words. They will think I am crazy. They will not get it. This belief creates a chasm between you and the world, convincing you that connection is impossible, that your inner landscape is an alien territory where you must wander alone. And beside it, you place the heavy, solid brick of judgment. This is the fear of being labeled. You will be too much, too sensitive, too dramatic, weak, broken, This brick is mortared with the imagined voices of your family, your friends, your colleagues, society at large. To avoid these labels, you learn to become a chameleon, to present a carefully curated, acceptable version of yourself to the world. A version that is calm, collected, and above all, silent about its inner turmoil, shame, guilt, misunderstanding, judgment. These are the primary materials of your fortress, and you, the master architect, learn to build with them skillfully, creating a structure that seemed, from the outside, impenetrable and strong. Within these walls, you found a strange and lonely kind of peace, the peace of predictability. Inside your fortress, nothing unexpected could happen. No one could hurt you with a careless word. No one could reject the truth you never offered. No one could judge the feelings you never showed. You were in control. You managed the gates. You patrolled the ramparts. You kept the world at a safe distance. But you soon discovered the tragic irony of your own design. The walls you built to keep the world out also keep you in. Nothing can get out either. Your authentic laughter, your spontaneous joy, your deep capacity for love, your righteous anger, your true voice, they are all trapped inside with the pain. You are the lonely king of a silent castle. You can watch life unfold through the narrow slits in the stone. You can see others connecting and living in the vibrant, chaotic world outside, but you remain separate, untouched, and achingly alone. This is the core conflict of the silent soul, the profound need for the safety of the fortress versus the soul's desperate, primal yearning to tear it all down and run, screaming and laughing, into the sunlit field of life itself. The guard on the tower longs for the freedom of the open road, and so we must understand this essential truth. You are not a passive victim of your silence. You are its active and utterly exhausted architect and warden. A vast portion of your life force, your precious finite energy, is diverted every single day to maintaining this structure. Think of it. It is the energy spent carefully choosing your words. The energy spent managing your facial expressions to betray nothing. The energy spent swallowing the lump in your throat over and over again. It is the energy of avoiding certain topics, certain people, certain memories. It is the energy of constantly scanning your environment for threats to your silence. This is not a state of rest. It is a state of perpetual, low-grade warfare. And this is why you are so tired, not because there is something wrong with you, but because you are performing an invisible, monumental task. Dismantling this fortress, then, is not an act of reckless destruction. It is an act of profound energy conservation. It is the beginning of a great redirection of your power, away from containment and toward creation, away from merely surviving and toward the act of truly living. Your silence is not a void. It is a labyrinth of your own making. You have wandered its corridors for so long, you have forgotten that you also hold the blueprint. Let us now engage in a small act of archaeology. Let us find that blueprint. Take a piece of paper, a journal, or open a new document on your screen. At the top, write a simple, non-judgmental heading, "The reasons I am silent." Now, begin to list them. This is not a confession. This is not a place for self-criticism. This is an inventory. You are the archaeologist, carefully dusting off the artifacts of your past and cataloging them with neutral curiosity. Let the reasons come without censorship. Perhaps your list will look something like this. I am silent because I was taught that good people don't get angry. I am silent because my needs were dismissed as a child, so I learned not to have them. I am silent because I am afraid of the conflict my truth might create. I am silent because I am deeply ashamed of what I have been through. I am silent because the person I need to speak to is no longer here. I am silent because I don't believe I have the right words. Keep going. List every reason, big or small, logical or illogical, that comes to mind. Do not rush. This is a sacred excavation. Once you have finished, take a moment, look at this list. See these reasons not as your personal failings, but as the names of the very bricks we have been discussing. See them as evidence of your long-standing, powerful commitment to keeping yourself safe. See the love and the fear that went into the construction of your fortress. Can you feel a sense of compassion for the builder you once were? Can you honor the intention behind the prison? By simply writing them down, by bringing these unconscious contracts into the light, you have already begun to loosen their power. They are no longer the invisible laws of your universe. They are simply words on a page. They are choices you once made, and therefore they can be unmade. Having seen the blueprints and identified the bricks, we can now begin to understand what happens to a sound, a feeling, a truth that is trapped within these walls. Within this meticulously crafted architecture of silence, a vibration does not simply vanish. It is contained, and a sound trapped in a sealed chamber does not fade away into nothingness. It echoes. It bounces off the hard surfaces of shame and fear. It reverberates in the lonely corridors of guilt, growing louder, more distorted, and more menacing with each reflection. Let us now step through the gates of this fortress we have mapped. Let us dare to go inside and listen to the haunting resonance of the mind's own echo chamber. We step across the threshold of the silent fortress, and the air changes. The sounds of the outer world, with their chaotic, unpredictable symphony, fade away. They are replaced by something else, a low, constant, and deeply familiar hum. It is a resonance that vibrates in your bones, a sound you have known for so long you have mistaken it for your own pulse. This is the sound of the echo chamber. This is the destination for any truth that is denied a voice, any feeling that is refused expression. It does not simply vanish. It is brought here, to this sealed chamber of the mind, where the laws of acoustics are cruelly different. Out in the world, a sound is uttered, it travels, and it dissipates. But in here, in this architecture of silence you have so masterfully built, there is nowhere for the sound to go, and so it echoes. This is the process of rumination, the mind's tragic and obsessive love affair with unresolved pain. The mind, like nature, abhors a vacuum. When a feeling arises in the body, it is pure energy seeking a path, a release. Its natural course is to be acknowledged, felt, and expressed. When that path is blocked by the fortress walls of shame or fear, the energy has nowhere to go. The mind, in its desperate attempt to solve this energetic puzzle, grabs hold of it. It takes the single, pure drop of feeling, a moment of sadness, a flash of anger, a pang of loneliness, and begins to swirl it. Imagine dropping a single bead of black ink into a sealed jar of clear water. At first, it is just a drop, but because it cannot escape, the mind's ceaseless motion begins to churn the water. It swirls the ink, studies it, pokes at it, analyzes it. Before long, that single potent drop has clouded the entire jar. The water is no longer clear with a drop of black in it. The water is black. This is what happens to your feelings inside the echo chamber. A simple transient feeling of sadness is not allowed to pass through you. Instead, the mind captures it and begins the echo. "I am sad," it whispers. The whisper hits the wall of shame and bounces back, slightly distorted. "There must be something wrong with me to be this sad." That echo hits the wall of misunderstanding and returns again, louder now. "No one else feels this way. I am utterly alone in my sadness." This new echo hits the wall of judgment. "I am weak for being so sad. I need to get over this." On and on it goes, the original clean feeling of sadness becoming a tangled, monstrous narrative of personal failure. Soon, you no longer feel sad. You are a sad person. You no longer feel lonely. You are a lonely person. The echo has become the defining feature of the room. The constant humming vibration of the story, "I am not good enough, nothing ever works out for me, I am fundamentally flawed," becomes the soundtrack to your life. It is a self-sustaining loop. The narrative generates more painful feelings, which the mind then seizes upon as further evidence that the narrative is true. The echo chamber perfectly fuels itself. And here lies a devastating paradox. A part of you, the conscious, rational part, despises these looping thoughts. It longs for silence, for a moment of inner peace. You would give anything to turn it off. And yet, there is another part of you, a deeper, more primitive part, that clings to these echoes. It resists the silence. Why? Because over years of living inside this chamber, this painful looping narrative has become your identity. It is the devil you know. There is a strange and terrible comfort in its predictability. To let go of the story of me, the one who suffers, or me, the one who is misunderstood, is to face a terrifying void. If I am not my pain, then who am I? The echo chamber, for all its torment, provides an answer, however bleak. It gives you a role to play, a script to follow. There is a dark safety in being able to say, "Of course this bad thing happened, it always does." It eliminates the terrifying vulnerability of hope. To cling to the echo is to protect yourself from the potential devastation of future disappointment. And now, we must deliver the most liberating message you may ever hear. A truth so profound it has the power to dismantle this chamber from the inside out. That voice in your head, the one narrating the story of your sorrow, the one endlessly commenting, judging, and predicting doom, the one that you have believed for so long is not you. It is an old recording. It is a cassette tape of your parents' anxieties, of a teacher's careless criticism, of a lover's rejection, of society's impossible standards, all spliced together and playing on a continuous loop inside the soundproof room you built. You are not the recording. You are not the distorted, painful words. You are not even the cassette player that endlessly plays the tape. You are the one who is listening. Your true self is the silent, spacious awareness that is hearing the noise. And because you are the listener, you have the power to turn your attention elsewhere. To speak your truth, even just to yourself, is to press the stop button. It is to interrupt the echo. It is to walk over to the sealed, grimy window of this chamber and find the courage to force it open, letting the fresh air and the complex, beautiful, and real sounds of the world rush in for the first time in a long time. Let us practice opening that window just for a moment. This is not about fighting the thoughts or forcing them to stop. That is just creating more noise. This is an act of gentle disengagement. Find a comfortable posture, either sitting or lying down. Close your eyes if that feels right for you. For the next minute, simply give yourself permission to listen to the chatter of your mind, to the echoes in the cave, without trying to change them. Now, when a thought arises, especially a familiar, looping one from your personal cassette tape worry, a judgment, a regret instead of following it down its usual, well-worn path, you will perform a simple, gentle action. You will mentally attach a label to it. The label is one simple word: thinking. A thought about a deadline appears. You silently note, thinking. A memory of an old embarrassment arises. You note, thinking. A judgment about how you are doing this exercise arises. You note, thinking. Do you see what is happening? By labeling the thought, you are not engaging with it. You are not believing it or arguing with it. You are objectifying it. You are recognizing it for what it is. A transient mental event, like a cloud passing in the sky or a car driving past your house. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. You are not the car. You are the house. With each gentle application of the label thinking, you are creating a tiny sliver of space between you, the listener, and the noise. You are stepping back from the recording and reclaiming your position as the awareness in the room. This practice, repeated over time, starves the echo chamber of its power. Its power comes from your unconscious belief in it. When you stop believing, the echoes begin to fade. As you stand here, at the mouth of the cave of your mind, having practiced this and tasted, perhaps for a fleeting moment, a bit of real inner silence, you become aware of another sound. It is not an echo. It is a deep, powerful, and primal sound. It is the sound of a great, rushing river, held back just behind the fragile walls of this cave. It is the cumulative sound of every feeling you have ever suppressed, every tear you refused to cry, every scream you swallowed. The practice of silencing the mind's echoes reveals the deafening presence of the feeling body. And as you stand there, on the threshold between the familiar cave and the unknown world, a primal fear arises, a fear far deeper than any thought. What will happen if I take one more step out of this chamber? What will happen if the dam that holds back this river of feeling finally breaks? This is the great and powerful fear of the floodgates, the ultimate terror that keeps us locked inside the echo chamber, preferring the familiar torment of our thoughts to the unknown, raw, and liberating power of our hearts. And so we stand at the precipice. Behind us lies the familiar, maddening hum of the echo chamber, a prison of looping thoughts. Before us, a thin but immensely strong wall of stone, and on the other side of it, we can feel, more than we can hear, the immense, thundering pressure of a contained ocean. This is the accumulated power of every unfelt emotion, every unshed tear, every unvoiced truth of our lives. This is the source of the ultimate terror, the final guardian at the gate of our freedom. This is the fear of the floodgates. It is the primal belief that if we allow even a single crack to form in our defenses, we will be utterly and irrevocably consumed by the deluge that follows. Let us dissect this fear, for it is not a simple monolithic thing. It is a complex tapestry woven from several core anxieties. First, there is the fear of infinity. This is the voice that whispers, if you truly start to cry, you will never be able to stop. Your tears will form a new ocean that will drown the world. If you finally touch the molten core of your anger, you will become a walking inferno, incinerating everything you love. If you let yourself feel the full depth of your grief, you will fall into a black hole from which you will never emerge. Your mind, in its terror, mistakes the intensity of a long-suppressed emotion for infinity. Because it cannot imagine an end to the feeling, it logically, yet incorrectly, concludes that there isn't one. It sees the feeling not as a weather pattern that will pass, but as a permanent and catastrophic change to the climate of your soul. Next is the fear of contagion. This is the conviction that your pain is a toxic substance, a pollutant that will contaminate the lives of those around you. I cannot show this darkness to my family. It will break their hearts. I cannot let my friends see this weakness. I will become a burden they are forced to carry. My truth is a radioactive material, and my silence is the lead shielding that keeps everyone else safe. This fear is born of a deep, misguided sense of responsibility, a belief that you are the sole manager of everyone else's emotional state. In reality, it is often a projection. It is your own fear of being overwhelmed that you project onto others, assuming they are as fragile as you believe yourself to be. In your effort to protect them, you deny them the opportunity to show you their strength, their compassion, and their capacity to hold space for your truth. You deny them the gift of true intimacy. And beneath it all lies the deepest and most subtle fear of all, the fear of dissolution. This is the ego's ultimate terror. It is the belief that, if I let go of this tight, white-knuckled control, the me that I know will shatter into a million pieces. The identity I have built as the stoic one, the strong one, the one who has it all together, will disintegrate. And what will be left? The part of you that has served as the warden, the controller, the suppressor, is terrified of becoming unemployed. It has defined itself by this struggle for so long that it cannot imagine an existence without it. The fear of the floodgates is ultimately the ego's fear of its own death, its terror of surrendering control to a power far greater and more intelligent than itself, the power of life's emotional flow. You believe you are in control, standing guard 24 hours a day at the top of the dam. But look closer. Are you truly controlling the river, or is the river controlling you? Your entire life is a reaction to the pressure of this contained water. The job you stay in, the relationships you tolerate, the places you won't go, the conversations you avoid. Are these choices made from freedom, or are they choices dictated by the fear of springing a leak? You are not controlling the river. You are in bondage to it. Your life is a carefully constructed, exhausting workaround to avoid feeling its power. It is the false safety of a bomb disposal expert who has chosen to live their entire life sitting beside an armed device, dedicating all of their energy to not jostling it. True freedom is not in managing the bomb forever. It is in having the courage to disarm it, even if the process is tense and your hands shake. And this requires the most profound paradigm shift of your life. For your entire existence, you have identified with the dam. You see yourself as brittle, rigid, made of concrete, constantly under pressure, checking for cracks. But this is a fundamental case of mistaken identity. You are not the dam. You are the river. Your very nature is to flow, to move, to change, to find your way to the sea. Stagnation is sickness for a river. When a river is dammed, its water becomes sludgy, its current dies, life within it is choked. Does this not sound like the state of burnout, of depression, of the heavy apathy you have felt? It is the feeling of a river being denied its own nature. The flood you fear is not an apocalypse. It is a homecoming. It is the river, you, finally reclaiming your divine right to flow. The great rush of water you imagine is not a force of destruction. It is a force of purification. It is the gush of life force that will scour the debris from the riverbed, washing away the sludge of years of stagnation. It is the irrigation that will turn the barren, dry land of your inner worlder landscape, made barren by the very existence of the Daminto, a fertile green garden where new life can finally grow. The flood does not destroy the landscape, it renews it. So we will not use dynamite. That is the mind's panicked and violent way. We will approach this with the wisdom of a seasoned engineer. We will simply learn how to operate the sluice gate, to open the valve just a little, and then to close it again, proving to your terrified nervous system that you are the one in control of the flow, not the other way around. Let us try this now, with a small, manageable act of release. Take a piece of paper and a pen. In the quiet of your own space, write down one thing, one sentence you are afraid to say aloud. Perhaps it is, I am angry at you, or I am terrified of failing, or I am heartbroken. Just one. Now, read that sentence aloud to the empty room. Let the vibration of the forbidden words hang in the air for a moment. Feel the charge of it, the truth of it. Then, take that piece of paper and, in a safe manner, burn it. Watch the paper curl into ash, or, if you cannot burn it, tear it into the smallest possible pieces and dispose of it. You have spoken the truth. You have released its energy, and you are still here. You have not shattered. You are safe. Here is another way. Think of one person in your life who has earned your trust. One person who has demonstrated their capacity for compassion. Reach out to them, not to unleash the flood, but to offer them a single cup of water. You do not need to say, I am drowning in a sea of despair. You can simply say, I have been having a hard time lately, or something from my past has been on my mind. Share 1% of the story. Then stop and listen. Witness as they do not shatter. Notice as you do not become a toxic burden. Notice as the world does not end. In that moment, you have opened the valve, and just as importantly, you have closed it again. You are building trust with yourself. Each time you perform one of these small acts, you are sending a powerful message to your nervous system. Release does not equal dissolution. Expression does not equal annihilation. I can feel, and I will survive. In that moment of release, however small, you feel something new. It is not the violent, chaotic rush of a bursting dam, but the gentle, steady, and unmistakable pull of a current. It is the first feeling of authentic flow after years of stagnation. It is a tiny crack of light in the vast, grey, concrete wall of your fear. And this crack, this tiny fissure created by a single conscious act of courage, is everything. It is the beginning of the end for the dam. It is the first sign that the river is remembering its own name, remembering its own nature. It is the first crack in the great structure of your resistance, a profound and hopeful signal that the life force within you is finally, powerfully, choosing to break free. Having stood at the edge of your fear and performed a small, brave act of release, the great flood you anticipated did not come. Instead, something far more subtle and infinitely more significant occurred. A crack has appeared. It may be almost invisible to the naked eye, a hairline fracture in the monolithic facade of your control, but it is there, a fine, silvery line running through the dense concrete of your resistance. A single note of truth has sounded in the echo chamber, and the silence that follows is different. It is a silence charged with potential. This is the moment of grace. This is the first crack in the dam. This moment does not always arrive with thunder and lightning. Often, it comes quietly, in the wake of exhaustion. It is the point of surrender known as rock bottom. This is not a place of violent impact, but a point of profound stillness that comes after a long, desperate struggle. It is the moment when the colossal effort of maintaining the dam, of managing the fortress, of suppressing the river, finally becomes more painful than the fear of the flood itself. The weight has become too heavy to carry for one more step. The silence has become more deafening than any scream. The loneliness inside the walls has become more unbearable than any potential rejection outside them. It is a surrender born not of weakness, but of a deep, somatic wisdom that knows the old way is no longer sustainable. The body, in its infinite intelligence, simply refuses to expend one more unit of life force on the maintenance of the prison. And in that refusal, the structure of control develops its first, critical fissure. For others, the crack appears not through exhaustion, but through a sudden flash of insight, a moment of satori or profound self-awareness. It can be triggered by the most unexpected things. A line in a book that seems written only for you, the unfiltered laughter of a child, the vast, non-judgmental gaze of the night sky, a piece of music that bypasses your mental defenses and speaks directly to your heart. In that instant, a lifetime of illusion falls away. A lightning bolt of clarity illuminates your inner landscape, and you see the dam, the fortress, the echo chamber for what they truly are. And a simple, undeniable thought arises: this is not my life. This pain I carry is not me. I am living a story that is not mine, and I no longer choose to be its character. This is a surrender born not of weariness, but of a sudden, shocking recognition of your own sovereignty. Whichever path you took to get here, the long, weary road of exhaustion or the sudden, blinding flash of insight, the result is the same. A fundamental shift has occurred in your internal alignment. The unconscious contract you made with yourself to remain silent at all costs has been broken, and in the moment immediately following this break, a new inner conflict arises. The old guard, the warden of your pain, rushes to the scene in a state of panic. It comes with its tools of fear and rationalization, desperate to patch the crack. It screams, "This is just a bad day, don't be so dramatic." It whispers, Remember how dangerous it is out there. Go back to what is safe, what you know. It tries to plaster over the fissure with doubt, telling you that your moment of clarity was just an illusion, a moment of weakness. It wants to restore the integrity of the prison. But now, there is a new voice. It is small, quiet, and unfamiliar, but it is there. It is the voice of the river, the whisper of your own life force. It does not argue with the warden. It does not fight. It simply presents the memory of the feeling that came with the crack, the lightness, the quiet thrill of authenticity, the subtle sense of rightness. It reminds you of the single cup of water you released and how the world did not end. And here you stand, at the most critical choice point of your journey. Do you listen to the loud, familiar voice of fear and allow the warden to patch the crack, reinforcing the walls of your prison? Or do you turn your attention to the tiny, vulnerable opening and tend to it, protect it, and allow the light to widen? Our society teaches us to fear the crack. In our buildings and on our roads, a crack is a sign of decay, a flaw to be repaired, a weakness to be hidden. We have internalized this belief and applied it to our own psyche. We see a crack in our composure as a sign that we are breaking down. But here, in this sacred space of inner work, we will learn a new and revolutionary truth. The crack is not a sign that you are breaking down. It is the sign that you are finally breaking open. It is the undeniable physical evidence that the life force within you is more powerful, more persistent, and more intelligent than any structure of fear your mind could ever build. It is the first green sprout of a great tree, forcing its way through a pavement of concrete, not through brute strength, but through the irresistible, steady pressure of life itself. It is the universe, knocking on the door of your self-imposed solitary confinement, gently reminding you of the vast, interconnected world that awaits. Therefore, you do not fix the crack. You do not hide it or feel ashamed of it. You honor it. You get down on your knees, and with reverence, you give thanks for it. It is the beginning of your liberation. So, let us make this moment, this choice, a conscious and sacred act. Let us anchor it in reality so that the warden of fear cannot convince you it was just a dream. Find your journal, the one where you may have written your reasons for silence. Turn to a new, clean page. This will not be just another entry. This is a marker. It is a birth certificate for a new way of being. It is your personal declaration of independence. At the top of the page, write today's date, for this is a day that will be remembered in the history of your soul. And then, from the heart of this new, cracked open feeling, begin to write. You do not need elegant prose, you just need honesty. Today, something shifted. Today, I felt the first crack in the wall. Today, I choose a different way. I no longer consent to living this way, in this silence, with this weight. Describe the moment it happened. Describe the feeling that accompanies this new resolve. What does this choice feel like in your body right now? Is it a quiet, deep sense of purpose? Is it a terrifying, exhilarating excitement? Is it a profound and unexpected peace? Anchor the moment, not just in thought, but in the physical sensations and the felt emotions. By writing it down, you are taking an internal, ephemeral event and giving it form in the physical world. You are making it real. You are bearing witness to your own evolution. This written page becomes your touchstone, a reminder you can return to when the warden's voice of fear grows loud again. This crack, this sacred fissure that you have now honored and recorded, is not yet a doorway you can walk through. It is an aperture. It is a source of new light. For the first time, a single, pure beam of your own conscious awareness is penetrating the dark, pressurized chamber within. It illuminates the swirling, murky waters of your unspoken pain. Before, in the total and absolute darkness, everything was a formless, terrifying, and monstrous entity. But now, In this thin beam of light, things are beginning to take shape. You can start to see the difference between the water and the things floating in it. The light of awareness does not demand that you do anything. It simply invites you to see what is truly there. It invites you to look into the churning water and, for the very first time, to stop running from the shadows and instead begin to call them by their real names. It is time to name the ghost. The single beam of light pierces the darkness of the inner chamber. It is not a harsh floodlight that exposes everything at once, but a focused, gentle beam, like that of a flashlight exploring a vast, silent, and long-forgotten attic. Within this beam, the formless, swirling terror that has been your constant companion begins to resolve into distinct shapes. They are still shrouded in shadow, but they have contours now, a sense of presence. These are the ghosts of your past, the silent, haunting specters of unfelt grief, unexpressed rage, and unacknowledged fear. They are the entities that have dictated the terms of your life from behind a veil, their silent influence shaping your choices and limiting your joy. Our task now is not to fight them. It is not to perform a violent exorcism or to run screaming from the room. Our task is to do something far simpler, far more courageous, and infinitely more powerful. We will stand our ground, hold the light steady, and we will name them. There is an ancient and profound magic in the act of naming. In nearly every creation myth and sacred text, the world is spoken into existence. To give something a name is to perform a divine act of creation. It is to draw a thing out of the chaotic, undifferentiated void of potential and give it a form, a boundary, and a place within the known world. A nameless dread is infinite. It has no edges. It can bleed into every corner of your life, coloring everything with its murky, anxious hue. But the moment you give it a name, this is the fear of abandonment. This is the feeling of worthlessness. You perform a miracle. You give the infinite a boundary. You contain it. It is still powerful, yes, but it is no longer everything. It is now something, a specific entity separate from all the other things in the universe, including the thing that is you. Modern science has begun to map the physical reality of this ancient magic. When you are in the grip of a powerful, unnamed emotion, your brain's activity is concentrated in the limbic system, the primal, reactive, non-verbal part of you, often called the reptilian brain. You are in a state of pure, raw, overwhelming feeling. You are not having a feeling. The feeling is having you. But when you engage the part of your mind that searches for a word, a label, a name, you are actively shifting that neural activity. You are firing up your prefrontal cortex, the seat of language, logic, and conscious awareness. In that moment, you perform an act of neural alchemy. You are no longer drowning in the turbulent waters of the limbic sea. You have built a lighthouse on the shore, and from that stable, observant position, you can now look out upon the waves. The all-consuming terror becomes the feeling of fear. The hot, suffocating cloud of humiliation becomes the feeling of shame. In the space you create between the observer and the observed, between the namer and the named, freedom is born. Why then is this simple act so difficult? Why do we often prefer to live for years with a nameless, free-floating anxiety rather than a clearly identified fear? Because we instinctively understand that naming it makes it undeniably real. As long as the ghost remains nameless, we can maintain a thin veil of deniability. We can attribute our inner turmoil to external factors: a bad night's sleep, stress at work, the gloomy weather. The nameless dread is a mist. It is pervasive, but has no center, and therefore we are never forced to confront its source. We can navigate around it, pretending we are simply having a difficult day, or a difficult month, or a difficult decade. To name the ghost is to end the charade. It is to point into the darkness and say, yes, that is here. That is what I carry. It feels like a final admission of defeat, a surrender to a painful reality you have spent your life trying to outrun. The ambiguity of the nameless ghost, for all its torment, feels safer than the stark, challenging clarity of the named one. But this is the ghost's greatest trick. This is the illusion that keeps it in power. The secret the ghost does not want you to know is that it derives nearly all of its terrifying power from its anonymity. A ghost is only truly frightening when it is a half-seen shape in the periphery of your vision, a mysterious creak on the stairs in the middle of the night, a sudden, inexplicable cold spot in a warm room. Its power is in suggestion, in the horrifying stories your own mind frantically creates to explain its presence. But the moment you turn, face it squarely in the beam of your awareness, and speak its name, I see you. You are loneliness. I know you. You are the terror of being seen as a failure. The entire illusion shatters. The monstrous, towering phantom that has haunted your hallways shrinks. It does not vanish, not yet, but it loses its supernatural, monstrous power over you. It transforms from a horrifying specter into something earthly, something finite, something you can finally begin to relate to, as you would a wounded person sitting in your room. Let us practice this sacred act of naming right now. Settle into your body. Return your awareness to that familiar feeling of the weight, that dense sensation we first identified. Let it be here with you, in this safe space, illuminated by the beam of light from the crack in your dam. Do not ask, why do I feel this way? This question is a trap that leads directly back into the looping stories of the echo chamber. We are not interested in the story just yet. We are interested in the feeling itself. Ask a simpler, deeper, and more direct question. As if you were speaking to a shy and frightened visitor, gently ask, what is this feeling? Hello, feeling. What is your name? Listen with your whole being, not just your ears. The name may not come as a clear, articulate word at first. It may come as an image, a fleeting memory, a color, or a single physical sensation. Be patient. If the knot in your stomach could speak one word, what would it be? Is it dread? If the tightness in your throat had a name, is it grief? If the burning in your chest had a label, is it injustice or rage or betrayal? Do not edit or judge the name that arises. Accept the first name that comes. It is your intuition speaking the truth. When a name begins to surface, however faint or uncertain, take a breath. And then, using your physical voice, speak it. You do not have to shout it. A whisper to the empty room is an act of immense power. This is loneliness. Feel the vibration of the word in your chest. Feel the subtle but immediate shift in the energy of the room. By speaking the name, you have externalized it. It is no longer just a swirling chaos inside you. It is a concept, a reality that is now separate from you. Try it again. Take another breath. Ah, this is shame. Say it not with despair or judgment, but with the calm, detached curiosity of a scientist who has just identified a specimen. So this is what this is. I have felt this 1,000 times, but I have never called it by its name. You have turned on the light. You have faced the indistinct shape in the darkness and have had the courage to speak its true name. The ghost is no longer a phantom. It is now a presence. It is a part of your experience that is sitting here with you, fully illuminated by the beam of your own courageous awareness. It is no longer haunting you from the shadows. It is waiting. Look at it now, sitting in the light. It looks different, doesn't it? Smaller, less monstrous, more understandable. It is waiting to be heard. It is waiting for its story to be told, for its reasons to be understood. And for a story to be told, it needs more than just a name. It needs a witness. And the first, most compassionate, most courageous, and most sacred witness on this entire journey must be you. The ghost is named. It sits before you now, no longer a terrifying, formless phantom, but a tangible presence, bathed in the beam of your awareness. It is loneliness. It is grief. It is failure. It is shame. It sits there, blinking in this new light, unaccustomed to being seen so clearly, and it is waiting. It has been waiting for an eternity, not for a judge, not for an analyst, and not for a fixer who will try to make it go away. It has been waiting for a witness. Before you can ever hope for the world to hear your story, before you can ask another soul to hold space for your pain, you must first undertake the sacred and primary duty of holding space for yourself. You must become the witness. For most of your life, the courtroom of your mind has been presided over by a single, relentless figure, the inner judge. This is the voice you know so well, the one that leaps into action the moment any vulnerability is shown. Its gavel comes down hard and fast with verdicts like, "You are overreacting. You shouldn't still be feeling this way. This is your own fault. Stop being so weak and just get over it." We must understand that this inner judge was also born from a desire to protect you. It operates on a simple, fearful logic. If I judge myself harshly enough, if I punish myself first, perhaps I can preempt the judgment and punishment of the outside world. If I am my own cruelest critic, nothing anyone else says can hurt me more. It is a strategy of preemptive self-attack, and it has turned your inner world into a hostile and merciless courtroom where you are simultaneously the defendant, the prosecutor, and the judge. The act of becoming the sacred witness is a quiet and profound revolution. It is about gently asking the inner judge to step down from the bench. You do not fight it or banish it, that is just more judgment. You simply acknowledge its service. "Thank you for trying to protect me," and then you invite it to take a seat in the back of the courtroom and be silent. For a new presence is now here to preside. This presence is the sacred witness. It is not another voice in your head. It is a quality of awareness itself. It is spacious, warm, kind, and infinitely patient. It has no agenda. It does not need to fix, change, or solve anything. Its only function is to hold, to allow, to accept. It is the quality of a wise and loving grandparent looking at a crying child, not with annoyance or a desire to quiet them, but with a boundless, unconditional love that says, "I am here. Let it all out." The inner conflict that arises here is immense, because the habit of judgment is perhaps the most deeply ingrained habit we have. The moment the named ghost, the feeling of loneliness, makes its presence known, the judge leaps to its feet by pure reflex. It wants to deal with the loneliness, to analyze its origins, to criticize you for feeling it, to strategize ways to make it disappear. The practice of being the sacred witness requires you to consciously and repeatedly restrain that impulse. It requires you to choose a different path. Instead of the frantic doing of the judge, you must choose the quiet being of the witness. Instead of leaning in with analysis, you lean back into spaciousness. Instead of meeting the feeling with resistance, you meet it with a radical welcome. This is the struggle between your conditioned, fear-based programming and a new, conscious, love-based choice. You have been searching the world for a sanctuary, a safe harbor where you could finally be all of who you are without fear of rejection. You have been waiting for someone to finally see you, to truly hear you, and to say those magic words, "It's okay, I am here, I will not leave you." The great and liberating secret of this journey is that you must become that sanctuary for yourself. You must become your own safe harbor. You do not need anyone else's permission to feel what you feel. Your pain does not need to be validated by an external source to be real. The act of witnessing yourself is the ultimate validation. It is the highest form of self-love. It is you, the conscious, divine essence of you, turning to the most wounded, exiled, and frightened parts of yourself and offering them the one thing they have always craved, your own undivided, compassionate, and unwavering presence. Imagine if your dearest friend came to you in this state, their heart in their hands. Would you immediately start giving them advice? Would you tell them their feelings were illogical? Would you judge their tears or tap your foot impatiently, waiting for them to be happy again? Of course not. You would do something far more healing. You would simply be with them. You would make them tea. You would sit in silence. You would maybe put a hand on their shoulder. You would offer them the profound, unspoken gift of your presence, which communicates more powerfully than any words. You are not alone in this. I am here with you. The great work of this stage of the journey is to learn how to offer this same sacred gift to yourself. To do this, we can use a powerful metaphor. Your true nature, this witness consciousness, is like the sky. It is vast, open, boundless, and fundamentally untouched by whatever passes through it. The named ghosts, your emotions, are like the clouds. Some clouds are light, white, and wispy, and they are pleasant to watch. Other clouds are dark, heavy, and full of rain. Some are violent, flashing with lightning and roaring with thunder. But the sky does not fight the clouds. The sky does not try to hold on to the pretty ones or push away the stormy ones. The sky does not identify itself with the weather. It is not a sunny sky or a stormy sky. It is simply the sky, and the weather is a temporary event happening within it. The sky's nature is to provide the space for all clouds to be exactly what they are, knowing that they are all transient, all visitors who will, in time, pass by. To become the sacred witness is to realize, in your bones, that you are the sky, not the cloud. Let us embody this witness now, in a simple, heartfelt practice. Find a quiet, comfortable position. If it feels right, you can place a hand gently over the center of your chest, over your heart space. This physical touch is a powerful, non-verbal signal of kindness and care to your own body. Close your eyes, take a few slow, deep breaths, and with each exhale, feel yourself letting go of the role of the judge and settling into the spaciousness of the witness. Now, bring to mind the feeling you named, the loneliness, the grief, the shame. Invite it into the room, into this space of awareness. Allow it to be here, exactly as it is, without needing it to be smaller or quieter or different in any way. Now, from the vast, silent space of the sky within you, offer these words to the feeling, to the cloud, to the wounded inner child that it represents. You can speak them silently in your mind or whisper them aloud. I am here. Let the words land. I am listening. Feel the gentle intention behind them. I see you. Acknowledge its presence fully. I am not going anywhere. Offer it the gift of your stability. Breathe into your heart space, and with your next exhale, offer this final, radical, and healing permission. All of you is welcome here. Now, simply be still for a minute. No more words. Just be the space. Be the sky for your own cloud. Hold yourself in your own compassionate presence, just as you would a dear friend. This is the practice. It is that simple and that profound. As you sit in this space of sacred self-witnessing, something miraculous begins to happen. The named ghost, the cloud of feeling that was once so tight, so defensive, so frozen in fear and pain, begins to relax in the warm, allowing light of your presence. It has been seen. It has been acknowledged. It has been welcomed without judgment. For the first time, it feels truly safe. And when a feeling feels safe, its raw, chaotic energy begins to transform. It is no longer just a wound. It becomes a potential. It develops a pulse, a voice, a color, a rhythm. It wants to communicate its story not as a primal scream of pain, but as a more nuanced form of expression. Having created the safe and loving container of the witness, we can now begin the sacred work of giving this transforming energy a language. In the safe, warm, and sacred space of your own witnessing, the frozen energy of your pain has begun to thaw. It is no longer a static, threatening monument in your inner landscape, but a living, moving current. You can feel it now, not as an ache, but as a potential. This energy now seeks what all living energy seeks: expression. It wishes to move, to take form, to be known. But our modern world has taught us that authentic expression has only one legitimate channel: articulate words. We worship at the altar of the rational mind, believing that if we can talk about a problem clearly, we can solve it. But what happens when the pain is too old, too deep, too primal for the narrow confines of vocabulary? What happens when the feeling originates from a time before you had words, or from a place in your soul that language has never touched? Here, we must learn a new and liberating truth. The soul has 1,000 languages, and words are only one of them. The pain you carry does not live in the logical language centers of your brain. It lives in your body. It is stored in the tension of your shoulders, in the knot in your stomach, in the shallow quality of your breath. To try and heal this bodily, energetic pain using only the mind is like trying to empty an ocean with a teaspoon. It is a noble effort, but ultimately, it is the wrong tool for the job. To truly release this energy, we must learn to speak its native tongue. The body has a language, and it is called movement. The hands have a language, and it is called creation. The heart has a language, and it is called color, sound, and rhythm. The act of healing is the act of becoming a translator, of allowing the deep, non-verbal truth of your body and soul to express itself through a physical medium. This is what creativity truly is. We have been sold a profound and damaging lie about creativity. The lie is that creativity is a special gift, a rare talent reserved for a divinely inspired few, who we call artists. We look at their masterful paintings and listen to their complex symphonies, and we say, "I could never do that. I am not creative." This belief is one of the most tragic walls we have built inside our fortress of silence. The truth is that creativity is the birthright of every human soul. It is the innate primal impulse of life to express itself, to bring what is inside out. A child making a pattern with fallen leaves is being creative. You, humming a tune as you wash the dishes, are being creative. You, arranging your desk in a way that feels pleasing, are being creative. It is the simple, direct act of moving inner energy into outer form. And this is where the next great inner conflict arises. You have named the ghost, you have become its witness, and now you feel the thaw, the urge to move this energy. But the inner judge, the great critic, leaps forward with a new set of objections. You can't draw, it scoffs. You'll look ridiculous if you try to dance. Writing a poem? How self-indulgent. What's the point? It won't be any good. The ego is terrified of producing something that is not perfect. It is terrified of looking foolish. It would rather keep you in a state of quiet suffering than risk the vulnerability of creating something bad. And here you have another choice. You must choose the soul's desperate need for release over the ego's vain need for perfection. You must give yourself permission to be a beginner, to be clumsy, to be messy. You must decide that the process of expression is infinitely more important than the quality of the product. This leads us to the core message of this stage. Speaking out is not primarily an auditory event. It is an act of energetic transmutation. It is the sacred process of taking the invisible, chaotic, and suppressed energy of a feeling and giving it a visible, tangible form in the physical world. Your pain is like an underground river, pressurized and blocked, causing tremors of anxiety and random earthquakes of anger in your life. The act of creative expression is the act of digging a channel. Each stroke of a paintbrush, each word scrawled in a journal, each note sung in the shower is a shovelful of earth, creating a path for that pressurized river to finally flow, to finally find its way to the great calming sea. The goal is not to create a beautiful channel. The goal is simply to dig. The finished product of your expression is irrelevant. It is an artifact of a healing process. It is the shed skin of a snake. The snake does not look back and critique the shape of its old skin. It simply leaves it behind and moves on, renewed and able to grow. Your messy drawing, your rambling journal entry, your clumsy dance, these are your shed skins. You must not judge them. You must thank them for being the vessels that carried the poison out of your body. Give your pain a shape. Give your grief a color. Give your anger a rhythm. Let it have a home somewhere outside the precious real estate of your own nervous system. Let us practice this transmutation now with a simple exercise designed to bypass the judge. Take a blank piece of paper. It can be a page in your journal or a simple piece of printer paper. Find a pen, a pencil, or if you have them, some colored pencils, crayons, or pastels. Think of the feeling you have been witnessing, the loneliness, the grief, the rage. Now, ask your body, not your mind, a simple question. If this feeling had a color, what color would it be? Do not think about it. Do not consult color theory. Just feel the first color that emerges in your inner awareness. It does not have to make sense. Your grief might be bright yellow. Your anger might be pale blue. Trust the first impulse. Now, take the crayon or pencil of that color. For the next 3 minutes, you have only one instruction. Let your hand move on the paper. There is no plan. There is no goal to draw a house or a tree. Your only job is to be the channel for the feeling. Maybe the energy feels frantic and wants to scribble wildly all over the page. Let it. Maybe the energy feels heavy and slow, and your hand moves deliberately, pressing down hard and filling a space with dense, thick color. Allow it. Maybe it is a series of sharp, jagged lines or soft, weeping circles. Do not lift the pen to think. Do not worry if it looks like a mess. It is supposed to be a mess. It is the mess that was inside of you, and it is now finding a home on the paper. You are letting the energy from your body flow down your arm, through the muscles of your hand, and out through the tip of the pencil. You are giving your feeling a physical address outside of yourself. When the time is up, put the pencil down. Take a breath. Now, look at the paper. Do not judge it as good or bad. Look at it with the awe of a witness. This is not art. This is a prayer. This is a seismograph reading of your soul. This is a physical energy signature of what you have been carrying. It is proof. It is undeniable evidence that you have the power to take what is inside and bring it out. You have successfully translated a feeling into a form. You have dug the first foot of your channel. By performing this simple, childlike act, you have done something of monumental significance. You have fundamentally altered your state of being. The stagnant, heavy, suppressed energy that was trapped within you, the energy that was causing your exhaustion has been put into motion. It has been transformed from a state of potential energy into a state of kinetic energy. This movement, this expression, creates a ripple. It changes the very frequency of the energetic field that you are. Before, you were vibrating at the low, dense frequency of suppression. Now, by allowing authentic expression, however messy, you have introduced a new, clearer, and more truthful note into the symphony of your being. You have changed your vibration, and the universe, which communicates not in words but in frequencies, begins to take notice. The marks are on the page, the channel has been dug, the energy has moved. In the stillness that follows this act of authentic expression, you may notice something new. It is a subtle shift in the atmosphere of your inner world, a quiet hum where there was once a dull ache, a sense of clarity where there was fog, a lightness in your chest. This is more than just psychological relief. This is a physical event. This is the new sound of your being. This is the vibration of truth. Let us speak for a moment, not of psychology, but of physics, the physics of the soul. For every state of consciousness, every emotion, and every thought is not merely a chemical reaction in the brain, it is a frequency. It is a wave of energy that you are constantly broadcasting into the universe, an energetic signature that is uniquely yours. For years, perhaps for a lifetime, you have been broadcasting the frequency of suppression. The state of holding your truth silent, of containing your pain, has a very specific vibrational quality. It is a low, dense, and discordant frequency. Imagine the sound of a drum filled with sand. Imagine the feeling of walking through thick, heavy mud. It is a vibration of immense effort, of fogginess, of stagnation. This low frequency is not bad, but it is limiting. Like a low-powered radio signal, it doesn't travel far and is easily lost in static. Living in this frequency feels like a constant uphill struggle. Now, consider the frequency of truth. When you name your pain, when you witness it with compassion, when you allow it to express itself through your hands or your voice, you introduce an entirely new frequency into your system. Truth, even a difficult, painful, or negative truth, vibrates at a much higher, clearer, and more coherent frequency than unspoken falsehood. The raw, authentic vibration of acknowledged anger is cleaner and higher than the murky, dense vibration of smiling, suppressed resentment. The clear, sharp vibration of admitted grief is higher and more healing than the low hum of numb apathy. Truth is like the sound of a crystal bell ringing out in a silent room. It is like the feeling of clean, cold water on your skin. It is precise, it is pure, and it is clarifying. It cuts through the fog. Why then does speaking your truth sometimes feel so jarring? Why does the body occasionally shake or feel a surge of chaotic energy after a moment of profound honesty? This is the experience of energetic recalibration. For years, your entire system, your body, your mind, your nervous system has been finely tuned and calibrated to operate within the low, dense frequency of silence. It learned to function in that fog. It came to know that heaviness as normal. When you suddenly introduce the high, clear, and powerful frequency of truth, it is like striking a perfectly pitched tuning fork in a room full of out-of-tune instruments. The initial dissonance can feel like chaos. The old, stagnant energy within your cells resists the new, higher vibration. Your body literally begins to shake itself into a new, more coherent pattern. This discomfort is not a sign that you have done something wrong. It is the physical evidence that a profound and necessary retuning is underway. Do not fear it. It is the feeling of healing in progress. This leads us to the heart of how we interact with the world around us. The universe is not an external, sentient being that listens to your verbal requests and grants wishes based on their merit. The universe is a vast, impersonal, and flawless vibrational field. It is a cosmic resonating chamber. It does not respond to the words you speak or the things you want with your conscious mind. It responds with the unerring precision of physics to the frequency you are. It responds to the song your very being is broadcasting into the field. This is not a New Age fantasy. It is the principle of resonance. If you strike a C note on a piano, the C strings on a nearby violin will begin to vibrate in sympathy. They cannot help it. They are tuned to respond to that specific frequency. For years, you have been broadcasting the dense, muffled frequency of suppression. And so, the universe, in its perfect impartiality, has been sending you experiences that resonate with that frequency. More situations where you feel you must be silent, more people who do not see your truth, more circumstances that reinforce your feeling of being stuck and heavy. You were sending out the signal of containment, and the universe was simply matching your signal. But now, you are beginning to change your broadcast. With every act of authentic expression, you send out a new signal. It is the clear, coherent frequency of your truth. And the great law of resonance dictates that the universe must begin to send you experiences that match this new frequency. It will send you moments of clarity. It will bring you people who are capable of hearing you. It will open up opportunities for further authentic expression. It is not magic. It is the law of the cosmos. You are finally beginning to sing the song you were born to sing, and the choir of the universe is beginning to sing along with you. Think of yourself as a finely crafted musical instrument, a cello. Your soul is the ancient, resonant wood. Your body is the hollow, sacred chamber. And your truth is the music you were designed to play. Out of fear, for a lifetime, you have kept the strings of this instrument slack. A slack string cannot produce a clear note. When you try to play it, it produces a dull, lifeless, unsatisfying thud. This is the sound of your suppressed life. The acts of naming your ghost, becoming the sacred witness, and translating your pain into a language are the acts of slowly, carefully, tightening the tuning pegs of your instrument. At first, the pegs creak and the strings groan under the new tension. This is the discomfort of recalibration. But with each small turn, with each act of courage, the strings move closer to their true and perfect pitch. To finally speak your truth, to express your authentic feeling, is to draw the bow across these newly tuned strings and produce the clear, resonant, glorious note that is uniquely you, a note that has been waiting your entire life to be played. Let us practice tuning into this new resonance. After any act of truth, whether it is writing a raw entry in your journal, having a difficult but honest conversation, or scribbling your anger onto a page, give yourself a gift. Pause for 60 seconds. Close your eyes. Do not analyze what you did or what will happen next. Instead, bring your awareness deep into your body. Listen, not with your ears, but with your cells. What do you feel? Can you detect a subtle hum or vibration in your chest, your hands, your solar plexus? Is there a new sense of lightness in your limbs, as if a great weight has been subtly lifted? Is there a feeling of space or openness where there used to be a familiar knot of tension? You may feel a quiet sense of rightness, a gentle click as if a tumbler has fallen into place in a cosmic lock. This feeling, whatever its unique quality is for you, is the physical sensation of resonance. It is your body's way of saying, yes, that was true. It is your inner compass, and it is always pointing toward your most authentic self. Learn the signature of this feeling. It is the most important guidance you will ever receive. As you continue to practice this sacred tuning, as you choose, moment by moment, to broadcast the clear frequency of your truth rather than the muffled static of your silence, you will find that the old, dense energies can no longer survive in your energetic field. The new, higher resonance begins to shake loose the very foundations of your old identity. The story you used to tell yourself, the tragic and heavy story written in the low vibration of shame, fear, and victimhood, starts to sound like a foreign language. The old narrative simply cannot exist in this new, clearer frequency. It begins to lose its power, its stickiness, its grip on your reality. You are now being prepared to consciously and deliberately release that old story and to keep only the pure, hard-won wisdom it gave you. The new, clear resonance of truth is vibrating through your being, a pure note sounding in the temple of your soul. And as this frequency strengthens, it encounters the old, dense structure of your personal story. The two are incompatible. The high, coherent vibration of truth cannot coexist with the low, heavy narrative of past pain. One must yield to the other. And this is the moment where we learn to consciously, lovingly, and deliberately unhook ourselves from the story that has, until now, defined our entire existence. We must begin by understanding a critical distinction perhaps the most important distinction on the entire spiritual path, the difference between an event and a story. The event is the raw, objective data of your life. It is what happened, stripped of all judgment, all emotion, and all interpretation. The relationship ended. The job was lost. Harsh words were spoken by a parent. An illness was diagnosed. These are facts. They are like the stark black and white photographs from a historical archive. They are emotionally neutral. They simply are. They are finite points in the past. The story, on the other hand, is the rich, colored, and emotionally charged narrative that we weave around these factual events. The story is the meaning-making layer, the interpretation we add to make sense of the chaos. The story is where our suffering truly lives. The event is, the relationship ended. The story is, the relationship ended because I am fundamentally unlovable and I will always be abandoned. The event is, the job was lost. The story is, the job was lost because I am a fraud and a failure, and I will never succeed at anything. The event is, harsh words were spoken. The story is, harsh words were spoken, which proves the deep and abiding truth that I am worthless. Do you feel the difference? The event is a wound. The story is the act of picking at the wound every single day, preventing it from ever healing. We do not suffer so much from our past as we do from the present moment act of retelling ourselves the story of our past. Why do we cling so desperately to a story that causes us so much pain? Because on a deep, subconscious level, we have fused the story with our identity. We believe that we are the story. The story, especially a tragic one, provides a powerful, if painful, sense of self. To be the one who was wronged or the one who survived a terrible ordeal gives us a solid identity in a chaotic world. It can feel like a badge of honor. It can excuse us from taking future risks. I can't possibly try that again. Look at what happened last time. It gives us a role to play that we understand, a script we know by heart. There is a deep and seductive comfort in this. To release the story is to release the identity that is built upon it. It is to voluntarily step off the stage, hand back the script, and stand in the terrifying, liberating emptiness of the unknown. It is to face the question, if I am not my story of pain, then who on earth am I? This is the great inner conflict, the familiar comfort of a painful identity versus the terrifying freedom of a blank page. The ego would rather be a clearly defined victim than a formless mystery. But the soul yearns for the mystery. The soul knows that its nature is not to be a character in a single repeating story, but to be the author of an epic with 1,000 chapters yet to be written. And so, listen closely to this truth. Let it land deep in your bones, for it is the key that will unlock the chains of your past. You are not the story. You are not the words on the page. You are not the tragic character you have played for so long. You are the boundless, conscious awareness that is, and always has been, reading the story. More than that, you are the hero who lived through the events and survived. The story is merely a record of your past battles, but you are the warrior who is still standing today, reading this, breathing in this moment. The story is the map of a treacherous journey, but you are the traveler who has arrived safely on a new shore. Therefore, we do not burn the story in a fit of angry rejection. We do not tear it to shreds with shame. That is just creating another violent story. Instead, we do something far more graceful. We honor it. We take the book of our old story from the shelf, hold it in our hands, and we thank it. We say, from the depths of our heart, thank you, story, for attempting to make sense of the senseless. Thank you for giving me an identity that helped me survive when I was younger and more vulnerable. Thank you for the profound and difficult lessons of resilience, of compassion, of strength that I would never have learned without you. And then, with the reverence and finality of a sacred ritual, we gently close the book. We place it back on the shelf, not in the front where we must see it every day, but in the back, in the archives of our soul library. It is a part of our history, but it is no longer the book we are reading today. Think of your story as an old suit of armor that you forged for yourself long ago. In the heat of the battles of your youth, it was essential. It protected your soft, vulnerable heart. It deflected the sharp blows of criticism and rejection. You have worn it for so long that you have forgotten the feeling of the sun and the wind on your own skin. You have mistaken the cold, hard metal for your own body. But the great battles are over now. The context has changed, and the armor that once protected you has now become your prison. It is heavy, it is rigid, it is suffocating. It is preventing you from growing, from moving freely, from being able to receive the embrace of life. Releasing the story is the conscious, deliberate act of unbuckling the straps, one by one. With each act of forgiveness, with each moment of authentic expression, you loosen a buckle, and with a quiet clank, a heavy plate of that old identity falls to the ground. It is the choice to stand, vulnerable, yes, but also unbound and astonishingly free in the new atmosphere of your life. Let us engage in a powerful practice of rewriting. Take your journal. Think of a key event from your past, one that has been a cornerstone of your painful story. You are going to write the story of this event twice. First, write the victim's narrative. On a fresh page, write the story as you have always told it to yourself. Write it from the perspective of the victim. Emphasize your helplessness, the injustice, the pain that was inflicted upon you. Detail the actions of others and how they caused your suffering. Do not hold back. Let the old familiar story of grievance flow onto the page. Now, when you are finished, take a deep breath. Turn to a new, clean page. At the top, write the hero's narrative. You are going to write about the exact same event. The facts will not change. But you will now tell the story from the perspective of the hero of the tale, which is you. This time, focus on different details. What inner strengths did you discover during this difficult time? What flicker of courage, however small, did you demonstrate? What act of resilience allowed you to endure and survive? Did you develop more compassion, more wisdom, more determination? What profound lesson about life, love, or the nature of your own soul did you learn because of this event? A lesson you could not have learned any other way. Focus not on what was done to you, but on what was awakened in you. When you have finished both versions, go back and read them. Compare the feeling, the energy that each one evokes in your body. The victim's narrative feels heavy, dense, and draining. It is a closed loop of blame and powerlessness. The hero's narrative, while acknowledging the pain, feels light, expansive, and empowering. It is a story of growth and earned wisdom. This exercise is the visceral proof that your suffering is not caused by the facts of your life, but by the narrative lens through which you choose to view them. When you consciously choose the hero's narrative, when you close the cover on the old book of your pain, you are doing more than just thinking a new thought. You are sending a new, powerful set of instructions to every one of the trillions of cells in your body. The old story held a physical posture of defense: the clenched jaw, the raised shoulders, the tight stomach. It was a story held in the body. As you release the narrative from your mind, the body receives a new, liberating message. The war is over. The threat has passed. You can stand down. And the body, which has been holding this tension for years or even decades, begins, finally, to hear this message. It begins, finally, to let go. The book of the old story has been closed. The new narrative of the hero, the survivor, the one who learns, has begun to resonate within you. And this new message, this declaration that the war is over, travels faster than thought. It travels on the clear frequency of truth, not to your ears, but directly into the tissues of your being. For your body, that loyal and patient animal that has carried you through every battle, has been listening all along. It has been holding its breath, waiting for this exact command. It has been waiting for the permission to finally stand down. We have been taught to think of memory as a function of the mind, a library of images and stories stored in the brain. But this is only one superficial kind of memory. Your body holds a deeper, more ancient, and far more honest record of your life. It does not remember in words or narratives. It remembers in sensations, in postures, in patterns of tension. The body is the unconscious mind made visible. Every time you swallowed your anger to keep the peace, your jaw muscles learned to clench and grind in the night, remembering the unbitten words. Every time you suppressed your grief to appear strong, your throat learned to tighten and your chest learned to ache with the weight of unshed tears. Every time you braced for criticism or abandonment, your shoulders learned to creep up toward your ears, your back learned to round, creating a permanent shield for your vulnerable heart. These are not random aches and pains. These are not the mere failings of age. They are the archives of your unspoken life, etched into your fascia and your musculature. They are the physical embodiment of the story you have just released. For years, to survive the constant discomfort of these stored emotions, you may have learned to live from the neck up. You learned to dissociate, to treat your body as an inconvenient vehicle whose only purpose was to transport your head from one place to another. You ignored its whispers, you numbed its cries with distraction, and you pushed through its exhaustion. You abandoned your own physical home. But now, as the new frequency of truth vibrates through you, as the story of war gives way to a story of peace, a great thaw begins in this frozen landscape. And as this thaw commences, you may not feel immediate comfort. In fact, you may feel more discomfort than before. As the numbness recedes, sensation returns. This can manifest as a sudden, inexplicable tingling or shaking in your limbs, a surge of heat in your chest or face, a deep, heaving sob that seems to come from nowhere. Do not be alarmed. This is the feeling of a frozen river breaking up in the spring. The ice flows are crashing into one another as the current begins to move again. The tingling and shaking is the sensation of life force, of trapped energy, finally beginning to move through channels that have been blocked for decades. This is the central conflict of embodiment, the familiar, predictable safety of numbness versus the chaotic, unpredictable, but vibrantly alive feeling of returning sensation. The temptation will be strong to retreat, to shut it down, to go back into your head where things feel more controlled. The mind will rush in and say, "What is this? This is scary. Make it stop." But the witness consciousness within you knows the truth. This is not chaos. This is liberation. This is the body celebrating its freedom from the old, tense story. Your task is to resist the urge to flee and instead stay present with the process, to offer the returning life force the same compassionate welcome you have offered your named ghosts. This leads us to a truth of immense importance. For years, you may have looked outside yourself for a guru, a teacher, an oracle, a source of unshakable truth. But the most honest, direct, and infallible guru you will ever have is your own body. It is incapable of telling a lie. While your mind can spin elaborate stories, justifications, and rationalizations to keep you locked in illusion, your body will always, without fail, tell you the precise truth of the present moment. Its language is not words, but sensation, the feeling of expansion and openness when you are aligned with your truth, the feeling of contraction, tightness, and nausea when you are betraying yourself. You must learn to listen to your body's whispers, the subtle tension in your gut, the quiet ache in your lower back, the flutter of excitement in your heart, so that you will not have to hear its screams in the form of chronic pain, illness, or burnout. To release the mind, you must release the body. And to release the body, you must first learn to courageously and lovingly inhabit it. Imagine your body has been a frozen landscape, locked in the perpetual grey winter of your old narrative. Your muscles are the frozen earth, your joints the frozen rivers, your breath a shallow, icy wind. The work you have been doing, naming, witnessing, expressing, rewriting is the spring sun. Its warmth is causing a great thaw. The ice of your stored trauma is cracking. The underground streams of your life force, your emotions, your vitality are beginning to flow again. This process can be messy. It can create floods and upheaval. But it is the undeniable, glorious sign of life's return. Your job now is not to manage the thaw, but simply to provide a loving landscape for it to happen within. Let us practice this gentle homecoming now. Find a place where you can lie down comfortably on your back, perhaps on the floor or a firm bed. Let your arms rest easily by your sides, palms facing up in a gesture of receiving. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, and with each exhale, feel your weight surrendering more fully to the pull of gravity. Now, bring your gentle, curious awareness, your inner flashlight, all the way down to your feet. You do not need to do anything or change anything. Simply notice what is there. Is there warmth, coolness, tingling, a feeling of being tightly bound, or a feeling of spaciousness? Just feel. Just be present with your feet for a few moments. Then, slowly, begin to move that beam of awareness up your body, to your ankles, your calves, your knees. Take your time. This is not a race. You are reacquainting yourself with your own home, room by room. Move your awareness up to your thighs, your hips, your pelvis. Notice the areas that feel numb and the areas that feel alive. Notice the places that feel tight and the places that feel soft. Do not judge any of it. All of it is welcome information. Continue this journey up through your lower back, your stomach, your chest. When you find an area of chronic tension, a familiar knot of the old story, your instinct may be to recoil. Instead, do the opposite. Lean in with your awareness. Breathe into it. Imagine your inhalation is a wave of warm, healing light, traveling directly to that spot and surrounding it. And as you exhale, imagine the tension softening, melting, dissolving, even if only by 1%. You are not commanding your body to relax. You are inviting it, with kindness, to let go. Continue the journey up through your shoulder-sar great warehouse of unspoken burdens down, your arms to your hands, up through your neck, your jaw, your face, your scalp. Finally, feel your entire body, from head to toe, held in the single unified field of your loving awareness. You are home. As you continue this practice of inhabiting your body, a new and powerful integration begins to occur. The false separation between your mind and your body, a separation that is the very source of our modern malaise, begins to dissolve. You are no longer a disembodied mind driving a fleshy machine. You become a unified feeling, thinking, sensing being. Your awareness is no longer just a spotlight trapped in your head. It becomes a warm, golden glow that permeates your entire form. From this grounded, centered, and embodied state of presence, you are now strong enough and feel safe enough to engage in a new and deeper kind of conversation. You can now turn to face the most powerful, most feared, and most misunderstood parts of your psyche, parts you have long labeled as darkness, not as a frightened child, but as a sovereign and compassionate peer. It is time for a dialogue with your own shadow. You are home in your body, grounded, centered, present. From this newfound stability, this embodied sense of safety, we can now venture into the deepest and most potent territory of the inner world. For every time in our lives we have chosen goodness over wholeness, every time we have favored politeness over truth, every time we have turned away from a feeling because it was too intense or inconvenient, we have cast a shadow. This shadow is not an evil entity lurking in the depths. It is not a monster to be slain. It is, quite simply, the repository of all the vital and authentic parts of ourselves that we were taught we had to disown in order to be loved. And after a lifetime of silence, it is waiting to be spoken to. The great psychologist Carl Jung called this the shadow. We can think of it as the psychic bag we have all been dragging behind us, just out of sight, since early childhood. Into this bag, with the best of intentions, we stuffed every aspect of our authentic self that was not met with approval by our family, our teachers, or our culture. Into the bag went our raw, primal anger, because we were told that good children are never angry. Into the bag went our fierce, unapologetic ambition, because we were told it was selfish or unseemly. Into the bag went our profound sensitivity, because it was labeled too much or too dramatic. Our wildness, our righteous rage, our unacceptable desires, our deep need for solitude, all of it was exiled to the shadowlands of our psyche. We did this to survive. We made an unconscious bargain. I will amputate these parts of myself in exchange for your love and acceptance. But here is the crucial secret. We did not only stuff our dark qualities into the bag, we also exiled our light. Into the shadow went our brilliant intelligence that others found intimidating. Into the shadow went our untamed creativity that didn't fit into the neat boxes of school or work. Into the shadow went our capacity for profound, earth-shattering love that we feared would be rejected. The shadow, then, is not a cesspool of evil. It is a treasure chest of our buried power. The real problem is not that the shadow exists, but that it remains unconscious. When we ignore the contents of our bag, they do not go away. They begin to leak. They sabotage us from behind the scenes. They project themselves onto the world. The anger we deny in ourselves, we see and judge mercilessly in our boss or a politician. The laziness we cannot accept in ourselves, we despise in our partner. The shadow runs our lives from the shadows, and we are left wondering why we keep repeating the same self-defeating patterns. This creates the ultimate inner conflict for the spiritual seeker. We live under the tyranny of being good. We meditate, we practice gratitude, we try to raise our vibration, all in an effort to rise above our own perceived darkness. But this is a dangerous spiritual bypass. It is an attempt to build a beautiful penthouse of light and love on top of the unstable foundations of a repressed and resentful darkness. Sooner or later, the foundations will crack. The suppressed anger will erupt in a moment of shocking rage. The disowned vulnerability will manifest as a sudden collapse into depression. True spirituality is not about ascending out of your humanity. It is about descending into it with courage and compassion. It is the understanding that wholeness is not the absence of darkness, but the courageous integration of both light and shadow. The fear is that if we acknowledge our envy, our greed, or our rage, we are those things. But the truth is, you only become ruled by those things when you pretend they aren't there. So let this message land in your heart. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the most misunderstood, neglected, and fiercely loyal part of you. It has been holding all the energy you were forced to sacrifice. That rage it holds. It is the raw fuel for setting powerful, life-affirming boundaries. That grief it holds. It is the key that unlocks the door to profound compassion for all beings. That fear it holds. It is the gateway to immense courage and foresight. To reclaim your full power, to become truly whole, you must turn and face this exiled part of yourself, not with a sword and shield, but with an open hand, a curious mind, and a listening heart. Imagine that you have a wild, passionate, and fiercely honest twin sibling. In your childhood, your family found this twin too loud, too intense, too disruptive. To keep the peace and ensure your family's love, you both agreed that your twin would live in the basement. You pass food through a slot in the door. You hear them pacing, sometimes banging on the walls, sometimes sobbing. But you never go down. You never speak. You live your good life upstairs, always pretending you are an only child. But you are perpetually drained because a vast portion of your energy is subconsciously dedicated to making sure that basement door stays locked. You are only living with half of your life force. Shadow work is the courageous act of taking a deep breath, unlocking that door, and walking down the stairs. You don't go down to fight or to scold. You go down, you sit on the floor, you look your wild, neglected twin in the eye, and for the first time in your life, you say, "I am so sorry. Tell me everything. I am ready to listen now." Let us practice this sacred dialogue. Take your journal to a place where you feel safe and will not be interrupted. On a fresh page, you will stage a conversation. First, choose a shadow aspect to speak with. It could be one of the feelings you named earlier, like anger or shame. Or it could be a quality you find particularly irritating or judgmental in other people, as this is often a powerful clue to a disowned part of yourself. Let us, for this example, choose to speak with fear. At the top of the page, write, "A dialogue with my fear." Then, begin the conversation from your conscious witness self. Let's call this me. Write the first line. Me, fear. I know I have spent my whole life running from you, ignoring you, and judging you. I am here now. I am willing to listen. What do you need to tell me? Now, shift your perspective. Let the fear itself answer. Do not edit or censor what comes through. Let it be childish, irrational, primal. It might sound something like this. Fear. It's about time. I'm not trying to hurt you, you idiot. I'm trying to keep you safe. Every time you want to try something new or speak your truth, I have to scream and yell and make your stomach sick because it's the only way to stop you from walking off a cliff. Continue the dialogue, switching back and forth between me and fear. Ask it genuine, curious questions. Me, a cliff. What cliff are you so afraid of? Fear. The cliff of rejection, the cliff of failure, the cliff of being abandoned. Don't you remember what happened when we were 7 and we stood up to speak in class? The laughter. I am never going to let that happen again. It's my job to keep us small, to keep us hidden, to keep us safe from that feeling. Me, I understand. You are trying to protect me from that old pain. But what is the cost of living this small, hidden life? What power are you holding for me that we are not able to use? Fear. I hold your foresight. I hold your intuition. I hold your ability to prepare. I am not the enemy. I am your loyal vanguard. If you would just listen to my warnings instead of trying to kill me, we could work together. I could advise you instead of having to paralyze you. Continue this conversation until you feel a shift, a sense of understanding, a softening. As this dialogue unfolds, as you truly listen to the pain, the logic, and the wisdom of your exiled parts, a new and powerful emotion will inevitably emerge. It is a profound, aching compassion, but it is not just for your shadow, for your fear or your anger. A deeper compassion arises for the one who had to lock it away. You see the scared child you once were, who made the impossible choice to sacrifice a part of themselves in order to survive. You see their innocence, you see their desperation, you see their good intentions. And from this deep well of understanding for both the exiled part and the one who exiled it, arises the natural, necessary, and healing next step on our journey, the sacred act of forgiving yourself. From the deep, courageous dialogue with your own shadow, a new light has dawned. You have seen the fractured parts of yourself not as monstrous flaws, but as loyal guardians and wounded children, each doing their best to navigate an overwhelming world. And you have felt a profound, aching compassion for them, for their pain, for their exile. But now, that warm, illuminating beam of compassion must turn its gentle gaze upon the most stubborn and elusive figure of all, the one who built the prison in the first place, the one who turned the key in the lock, the one who enforced the decades of silence. It is time to forgive the person you were. Let us first be immaculately clear about what forgiveness is not, for the word itself is heavy with misunderstanding. Self-forgiveness is not an intellectual exercise where you logically pardon your past transgressions. It is not a way of condoning harmful behavior or letting yourself off the hook. It is not the act of forgetting what happened, nor is it a magical absolution that wipes the slate clean as if the pain never occurred. True self-forgiveness is a profound act of energetic release. It is the radical and sacred choice to release yourself from the ongoing, self-inflicted punishment of your own judgment. It is the moment you stop dragging the heavy corpse of your past self into the beautiful potential of your present moment. It is the act of looking back at the person you were 10, 20, or 30 years ago, the one who was silent when they should have spoken, the one who stayed when they should have left, the one who suppressed their feelings and built the wall sand, seeing them not with the critical, all-knowing eyes of your present-day wisdom, but with the boundless, compassionate eyes of the universe. The person you were then was doing the absolute best they could with the awareness, the emotional capacity, and the psychological tools they had at that time. To judge your past self by your present standards is a cruel and illogical form of psychic violence. It is like returning to your first-grade classroom and scolding the 6-year-old version of you for not understanding algebra. That child was doing exactly what a 6-year-old is meant to do: survive, learn, and slowly grow. So were you. And yet, the inner judge, that relentless prosecutor in your mind, will rise for one final, powerful stand. Its argument is seductive because it sounds like wisdom. It will say, if you forgive yourself, you are being weak and complacent. You are letting yourself off the hook, and you will surely repeat the same mistakes. This guilt you feel, this shame you carry, this is the penance you must pay. This is the whip that keeps you on the straight and narrow path. Do not drop it. This is the great lie of the ego, that self-flagellation leads to growth. But look at the evidence of your life. Has this constant, low-grade self-hatred ever truly led to lasting, positive change? Or has it simply kept you trapped in a low, dense vibration of shame, ensuring that you unconsciously attract more situations and people that give you reason to feel shameful? Guilt is a heavy anchor that keeps you stuck in the past. It is not a rudder that can steer you to a brighter future. You have carried this burden long enough. You have served a life sentence in a prison of your own making, for a crime, the crime of being an imperfect, evolving human that you did not even understand you were committing. But the gate of this prison is locked from the inside. The key has been in your own hand all along. Forgiveness is not something you earn through good behavior. It is not something you receive from a god or a guru once you are deemed worthy. Forgiveness is a sovereign choice. It is a unilateral declaration of peace. It is a gift you decide to give, not because it is deserved, but because you are exhausted from the pain of withholding it. And the recipient of this gift is the one person in the universe who needs it most desperately: you. This is the ultimate act of speaking out. It is the act of speaking the most healing words in any language, not to another person, but to your own reflection in the mirror. I forgive you. Think of your self-blame as a heavy iron chain. Each time you replay a past mistake in your mind, you forge another link. Each time you judge your past self for not knowing better, you hammer that link into place. Each time you cringe at a memory, you are testing the strength of the chain, ensuring it is still secure. You have been dragging this chain behind you for so long that its weight feels normal. Its constant chafing noise is the familiar soundtrack to your life. You have forgotten what it feels like to walk free, light, and unburdened. Forgiveness is not about magically making the chain vanish. It is the conscious, deliberate act of putting down the blacksmith's hammer. It is the realization that you, and only you hold the key to the heavy padlock that fastens this chain to your soul. Forgiveness is the act of turning the key, hearing the click of the lock, and letting the entire heavy length of it fall to the ground with a final echoing clang. And then you simply walk away, lighter. Let us now engage in a practice that is among the most powerful and transformative you will ever undertake. Find a time when you can be alone and undisturbed. Go and stand before a mirror. Do not just give yourself a quick glance as you normally would. This is a meeting. This is a sacred appointment. Take several deep, grounding breaths and allow yourself to truly look into your own eyes. Look past the surface-level judgments about your appearance. Look past the social mask you wear each day. Try to see the person behind the eyes. See the child who was once so scared and confused. See the adolescent who was trying so desperately to fit in. See the young adult who was doing their absolute best with what they knew. See all the versions of you that you have judged so harshly. Now, place a hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of your own touch, and then, speaking aloud, with as much sincerity as you can muster, say the words. Your voice may shake, tears may well up in your eyes. This is normal and good. It is the sound of the ice melting. It is the sound of the chain beginning to loosen. Say these words, or your own version of them. I forgive you. Pause. Let that sink in. I forgive you for holding on to all this pain for so long. I forgive you for being silent when you were hurting. I forgive you for not knowing what you know now. I forgive you for the mistakes you made when you were trying to find love. I forgive you for the ways you abandoned yourself to stay safe. You were doing the absolute best you could to survive. Your job as my warden is done. The war is over. You can rest now. Stay there for another minute. Just breathe. Look at the person in the mirror, this person you have just forgiven, and see if you can offer them a look of simple, unconditional kindness. This is not a one-time fix. This is a practice. You may need to return to this mirror and repeat this ceremony many times, for the layers of self-judgment are deep. Do it each day until the words no longer feel foreign, until they feel like the deepest and most natural truth. Do it until you look in the mirror and see not a defendant, but a beloved. When you perform this sacred act of self-forgiveness, you are doing far more than just soothing your mind. You are executing a seismic shift in your energetic signature. The dense, heavy, and contractive vibration of guilt and self-recrimination is being replaced by the high, clear, and expansive frequency of compassion. You stop broadcasting the unconscious signal of, I am unworthy or I must be punished. You begin for the first time to broadcast the powerful, radiant signal of, I am whole, I am free, I am worthy of love, beginning with my own. And the great, impartial mirror of the universe, which can only reflect the truth of your broadcast, begins to shimmer and change. It has no choice. It must now begin to reflect this new, compassionate reality back to you in the most surprising, synchronous, and beautiful ways. The sacred act of self-forgiveness is complete. The heavy chain of guilt has unfastened from your soul and fallen away. In its place, the clear, warm, and expansive frequency of self-compassion now emanates from the core of your being. You have changed the fundamental note of your inner music. And now, something remarkable, something that your old rational mind may struggle to accept, begins to happen. The world outside of you, the world of form and circumstance, begins to rearrange itself to match the new world you have cultivated within. This is not imagination. This is not wishful thinking. This is the great and impartial law of resonance in action. This is the cosmic echo. For too long, we have been taught to see ourselves as small, separate, and powerless beings living in a vast, random, and indifferent universe. But the deeper mystical truth, echoed by ancient wisdom and modern physics alike, is that you are not separate from the universe at all. You are the universe, experiencing itself through a unique and precious point of consciousness. There is no true separation between inner and outer. Your inner state of being and your outer reality are two faces of a single coin. The world you experience is not an objective, static reality that happens to you. It is a flawless, living mirror that is constantly and perfectly reflecting your dominant state of consciousness back to you. Consider the evidence from your own life. When your inner world was dominated by the low, dense vibration of unspoken pain, self-judgment, and a core belief in your own unworthiness, what did the mirror of the universe reflect? It had to reflect that truth. It showed you a world where you were overlooked, where you felt invisible. It brought you relationships that confirmed your deepest fears of abandonment or criticism. It presented you with opportunities that would mysteriously fall through at the last minute, reinforcing your story of being a failure. The mirror was not being cruel, it was simply being accurate. It was showing you a perfect reflection of the signal you were broadcasting. But now you have changed the signal. Through the courageous work of naming, witnessing, expressing, and forgiving, you have begun to broadcast a new frequency. It is the frequency of truth, of self-compassion, of inner freedom. And the mirror of the universe, by its very nature, must now begin to reflect this new image. The law is absolute. This is where the magic begins. This is where you start to notice the synchronicities, a meaningful coincidence, a chance encounter, a lucky break. The skeptic in you, the inner judge who is still clinging to the old evidence, will be quick to dismiss these events. That person mentioning the exact book you were thinking about? A fluke. Hearing that song with the perfect healing lyrics on 3 separate occasions in one day? Just a random anomaly. That sudden, unexpected phone call that solves a problem you were wrestling with? Sheer luck. The cynical mind fights to maintain its worldview, a world where everything is random and meaningless, because in that world, its own painful stories make sense. And here lies a new inner conflict. Do you listen to the voice of cynicism, which seeks to keep you locked in the old, predictable world of suffering? Or do you cultivate a state of open, childlike curiosity, a willingness to see the interconnectedness, to acknowledge the loving wink from the universe? To move forward, we must fully embrace this core message. The universe is always listening, but it does not listen to your words of pleading, your desperate wants, or your angry bargains. It is not a cosmic parent to be persuaded. It is a cosmic mirror. It listens only to the silent, powerful, and constant broadcast of your being. It listens to your frequency. When you were broadcasting the static of your inner conflict, it could only reflect chaos back to you. Now that you are broadcasting the clear, coherent signal of your authentic self, it must reflect clarity and coherence. These synchronicities are not rewards for good behavior. They are simply echoes. They are the universe lovingly confirming, I hear you. I hear this new song you are singing. I feel this new vibration emanating from you. And this is what it looks like in the world of form. Think of yourself as a great lighthouse standing on the shore of existence. For years, your powerful lantern was shrouded in a thick, dense fog, the fog of your unspoken pain, your trauma, your self-judgment. The beam of your light was dim, diffused, and unclear. As a result, it could only attract those ships that were also lost in the fog, vessels that were navigating by their own wounds and were drawn unconsciously to your familiar pain. This is why you found yourself in relationships and situations that replayed your old stories over and over again. You were attracting others based on your shared fog. But through your dedicated inner work, you have been painstakingly cleaning the great lens of your lighthouse. Each act of truth-telling has wiped away a layer of grime. Each moment of self-forgiveness has dissipated a bit more of the fog. Now, your light is no longer a dim, hazy glow. It is becoming a powerful, brilliant, and coherent beam, cutting through the darkness with the specific, unique signature of your true essence. And for the first time, your light is visible to ships that are further out to sea. These are not the lost ships wandering in the fog. These are the ships that are whole, well captained, and have been actively searching the horizon for a harbor with a light exactly like yours. The people, the opportunities, the ideas, and the experiences that are truly in resonance with your authentic self can finally see you. They can finally set their course for you. They can finally find their way home. To strengthen this new reality, we must practice noticing it. Begin to keep a new kind of journal. Call it your synchronicity journal or your book of cosmic echoes. Your only task in this journal is to become a detective of delight, an archivist of the miraculous. Each day, write down the evidence of the universe conspiring in your favor. Did you have a question in your mind, and then you opened a book to a random page that held the perfect answer? Write it down. Did you think of an old friend for the first time in years, and then receive a text from them an hour later? Write it down. Did you overhear a stranger's conversation that felt like a direct message for you? Write it down. Note the meaningful number sequences, the unexpected animal encounters, the perfect timing that saves you from a hassle. At first, these events may seem small, random, and insignificant. But as you record them, day after day, a powerful pattern will begin to emerge. You will be building a case file of irrefutable evidence that a new law is operating in your life. You are training your rational mind, through overwhelming proof, to accept that you are a participant in a responsive, interconnected, and magical reality. This journal becomes your personal Bible, your proof that your inner work is having a tangible outer effect. These cosmic echoes, these winks and nudges from the universe, are a profound vote of confidence. They are the confirmation that your new frequency is being received, loud and clear. This external validation provides an incredible source of encouragement and power. You are no longer just hoping that this inner work matters. You are seeing tangible proof that it is the only thing that matters. With this newfound confidence, and with this direct, loving feedback from the cosmos, you are now ready to graduate from a state of passive clearing to one of active, conscious creation. It is time to take this new, clear vibration that you have uncovered and learn how to stabilize it, strengthen it, and intentionally write your new, energetic signature upon the world. The cosmic echoes have confirmed your new frequency. You have seen the proof in the form of synchronicities, those loving winks from the universe. You are no longer a passive victim of circumstance, but an active and conscious participant in a responsive reality. This is a moment of immense power, a pivotal turning point on your journey. But power, if not wielded with conscious intention, can dissipate like mist in the morning sun. The great, often arduous, work of healing and clearing has brought you to this new, elevated plateau of being. Now, the work of conscious creation begins. It is time to move from simply having a new vibration to being that new vibration. It is time to intentionally and deliberately rewrite your energetic signature. The moments of clarity, peace, and release you have experienced are known as states. They are beautiful, precious, and profoundly real. But states, by their very nature, can be fleeting. Our goal now is to transform these temporary states into permanent traits. We want to make peace not just a place we visit on a good day, but our new home address. We want to make compassion not just an occasional feeling, but our default response. This transformation is not accomplished through a single dramatic lightning strike of enlightenment. It is forged in the quiet, humble, and consistent application of daily, conscious choice. This is the sacred work of self-discipline. Your brain, for decades, has carved deep, well-worn neural pathways that correspond to your old story of fear, reaction, and suppression. These are the superhighways of your consciousness. When a stressful trigger occurs, Your energy flows down these paths automatically, without thought, leading to the same old reactions. The new responses you have been cultivating of pausing, of witnessing, of choosing compassion are, for now, like faint footpaths in a dense forest. They are there, but they require a conscious effort to find and walk upon. The work now is to consciously and repeatedly choose the footpath. Every time you choose to pause instead of react, every time you choose self-compassion over self-judgment, you are walking that path. You are clearing a twig, moving a stone, treading down the grass. With consistent use, the footpath widens. It becomes a trail, then a road, and eventually, through the miracle of neuroplasticity, it becomes the new superhighway. The old road, through disuse, becomes overgrown and fades back into the forest. As you begin this work of conscious creation, you will feel the immense gravitational pull of your past. Your old self, your old patterns, did not simply pack their bags and vanish. They are waiting in the wings, ready to take center stage at the first sign of fatigue or stress. A difficult conversation, a financial worry, a moment of rejection. These are the triggers that will call the old program back online. Your immediate, conditioned impulse will be to revert, to become silent, to people, please, to feel the familiar, sickening drop into shame. In the crucial, fleeting moment that exists between an external trigger and your internal response, a space exists. In that sacred pause lies all your power. The conflict is between the easy, familiar, reflexive comfort of the old reaction and the conscious, sometimes difficult, effort of choosing the new one. It is the choice between the effortless downhill slide back into the valley of your old story and the sustained, but deeply rewarding, climb to remain on the new plateau of your freedom. And here we arrive at a truth that will release you from the crushing burden of perfectionism. Release is an event. Freedom is a practice. Healing is a destination you arrive at again and again. Wholeness is the path you choose to walk every single day. You have cleared the land of your soul. You have pulled the weeds and tilled the soil. Now, you must become the faithful gardener of your own being. Every day, you are given 1,000 small opportunities to either reinforce your new energetic signature or to revert to the old one. Your new reality is forged in these small moments. It is forged in the choice to take a deep, cleansing breath instead of sending the angry email. It is forged in the choice to say no with kindness and clarity instead of saying yes with a heart full of resentment. It is forged in the choice to meet a moment of self-doubt, not with the harsh whip of criticism, but with the gentle, loving whisper of the sacred witness. These small, seemingly insignificant choices are the hinges upon which the great doors of your new life swing open. Think of your energetic signature as your actual, literal signature, the way you sign your name. For years, your signature may have been hesitant, cramped, and small, perhaps even illegible. It was the signature of someone who was unsure of their own worth, afraid to take up space, afraid to make their mark. It was the physical manifestation of your old story. The work you are doing now is like taking a master class in calligraphy. You are practicing a new signature, a signature that is clear, confident, flowing, and bold. At first, this new way of signing your name feels unnatural. It feels slow and deliberate. You have to concentrate on every curve, every line. But with each repetition, the muscle memory builds. With each conscious choice, the new pattern becomes more ingrained. Eventually, a day comes when you no longer have to think about it. You pick up the pen, and this clear, strong, authentic signature flows from your hand effortlessly. It has become your new, natural way of signing your name upon the world. It is the authentic and undeniable mark of your true self. The most powerful tool for this sacred practice of calligraphy is the setting of a daily intention. It is the act of becoming the conscious creator of your day rather than a passive reactor to it. When you first wake up in the morning, before you pick up your phone, before you invite the chaos of the world into your consciousness, grant yourself one sacred minute. Sit quietly, place a hand on your heart to connect with your body, and consciously choose the primary frequency you will broadcast for the day. This intention is not a goal to be achieved. It is a state of being to be embodied. It should be simple, positive, and stated in the present tense. For example, you might say, aloud or in your heart, "Today, my dominant vibration is peace. I choose peace over drama." Or, "Today, I speak my truth with clarity and compassion." Or, "Today, I meet every part of myself with radical kindness." Or, "Today, I see the world through the eyes of gratitude." Choose one. State it clearly. Feel the resonance of it in your body. This simple act calibrates your entire energetic being for the day ahead. It gives you a North Star, a resonant frequency to return to when the inevitable storms of life arise. When you find yourself pulled off center, you can simply take a breath and remember your intention. Ah, yes, I chose peace today. How can I return to peace in this moment? As you continue this daily practice of setting an intention and making small, conscious choices to align with it, a profound shift begins to occur. The moments of peace and clarity are no longer rare and fleeting states that you grasp for. They begin to link together, to coalesce, forming a continuous and stable baseline of well-being. The background static of anxiety that you lived with for so long is replaced by a quiet, steady hum of peace. The constant, exhausting struggle begins to cease. You are no longer efforting to hold on to your new state. It is simply who you are. The new neural pathway has become the superhighway. The new signature flows effortlessly from your hand. And in this new, stable inner environment, after the great storms of emotional clearing and the diligent effort of rebuilding, a new quality of profound, unshakable stillness begins to descend upon the landscape of your soul. The stillness after the storm. The daily practice of rewriting your signature has taken root. The conscious choices, once requiring so much effort, have become your new, natural way of being. The inner world, once a landscape of constant, low-grade warfare, has fallen silent. The inner judge is quiet. The exiled parts of you are at peace. And into this newfound internal silence, a new quality descends. It is not the empty, hollow silence of suppression you once knew. It is not the tense, watchful silence of holding your breath, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. This is a living, breathing, vibrant stillness. It is the stillness after the storm. The peace you knew before was a dead peace. It was the silence of a locked room, the eerie quiet of a battlefield after the fighting has stopped, heavy with unspoken tension and the oppressive presence of all that was buried. This new stillness is alive. It is the deep, resonant silence of a redwood forest, teeming with unseen life and ancient wisdom. It is the vast, majestic silence of a desert under a full canopy of stars. This stillness is not defined by the absence of noise, but by the overwhelming presence of being. It is the natural state of your soul when it is no longer at war with itself. It is the quiet that remains when the frantic storyteller of the mind finally runs out of tales to tell. It is the peace that passeth all understanding, for it cannot be grasped with the mind, it can only be felt with the heart. And here, in this beautiful, open space, a strange and final inner conflict may arise, one that can take you by surprise. You may find yourself feeling restless in this newfound peace. You may feel bored, agitated, even anxious. A part of your mind, the part that has been a master strategist and warrior for decades, may start to fidget, asking, "What now? What's the next problem to solve? What should I be worrying about?" This is because your nervous system, for your entire life, has been conditioned by, and even addicted to, the chaos. It ran on the cortisol of constant vigilance and the adrenaline of the inner struggle. The drama of your old story, for all its pain, was stimulating. It was familiar. It gave you a clear sense of purpose: to survive. Now that the war is over, the warrior does not know what to do with its hands. The stillness can feel like a void to a mind that has defined itself by its problems. The temptation is to fill this beautiful, sacred emptiness with new noise, new drama, new worries. You must see this restlessness for what it is, the withdrawal symptom of an addiction to suffering. It is the discomfort of a prisoner, so accustomed to the four walls of their cell that they feel a sense of agoraphobia when presented with an open field. The final conflict is between the soul's deep, cellular enjoyment of this peace and the conditioned mind's terror of its own obsolescence. This stillness is not an empty endpoint. It is not the end of your journey. It is the sacred beginning. It is the fertile void. Imagine a forest that has been ravaged by a great fire. For a time, the landscape is black, scarred, and seemingly lifeless. But the fire has done a great service. It has cleared away all the dense, tangled undergrowth. It has returned vital nutrients to the earth. The ground is now dark, rich, fallow, and perfectly prepared for new seeds to land and take root. This stillness is your fertile soil. It is the sacred ground upon which the life you were truly meant to live can finally begin to grow. Do not rush to fill this space. Do not be afraid of its emptiness or its silence. This stillness is the great reward for all your courage. It is the trophy from all your inner battles. It is the prize. You must learn to savor it. Think of the lake of your mind. For years, this lake was whipped into a constant churning frenzy by the howling winds of your unhealed trauma and the violent storms of your looping thoughts. The water was brown and murky, with disturbed sediment. You could not see your own reflection in it, let alone the clear sky above. Any light that tried to penetrate its surface was shattered and diffused. Through the profound work you have done, the winds have died down. The storms have passed. The sediment, the old stories, the heavy emotions have slowly, gently settled to the bottom. And now, the lake is becoming still, so profoundly still that its surface transforms into a perfect, flawless mirror. For the first time, it can accurately reflect the vast, boundless, peaceful sky of your true nature. This stillness is not emptiness. It is a state of perfect clarity, perfect receptivity, and perfect reflection. Your practice for this stage of the journey is the forgotten art of sacred idleness. It is the discipline of doing nothing. This will be, perhaps, the most challenging practice of all for the modern, overstimulated mind. Each day, you must consciously schedule a small amount of time. Even 5 minutes will simply be. Do not call it meditation. Do not try to empty your mind or follow your breath or achieve a spiritual state. Those are all forms of doing. Your task is to simply be. Find a comfortable chair, perhaps by a window, or go outside and sit under a tree, and do nothing. Your only task is to feel the stillness. Feel it in your body, the absence of the familiar clenching and tension. Feel it in your mind, the new space between your thoughts. Feel it in the atmosphere around you. If thoughts arise, as they will, let them float by like lazy, high-altitude clouds. Do not engage them. Do not follow them. Gently return your attention to the simple, profound sensation of being still. You are teaching your nervous system on a deep and cellular level that this state is safe, that this state is good, that this state is your new home. You are learning to savor the peace you have worked so incredibly hard to create. You are allowing your entire being to marinate in this new, healing frequency. And as you rest in this stillness, as your being becomes accustomed to this new baseline of quiet, something remarkable begins to stir. It does not stir from a place of anxiety or restless need. It stirs from the deep, quiet, fertile center of your being. It is a new impulse. It is a new voice. It is not the frantic, chattering voice of the mind, nor is it the pained, pleading cry of the unhealed wound. It is a calm, clear, resonant, and confident voice that has been waiting patiently for all the other noise to die down. It has been waiting for this stillness. It has been waiting for you to be ready to hear it. This is your true voice, finally ready to speak, not from a place of defense or desire or neediness, but from a place of pure, centered, authentic being. It is the voice of the soul, and it is about to introduce itself. From the heart of the great stillness, something stirs. It is not an echo of past pain, nor is it the restless chatter of the anxious mind. It is a new impulse, arising not from a place of lack or need, but from a place of profound fullness. This is the emergence of your true voice. For most of your life, what you believed to be your voice was actually one of two things. It was either the pleading, reactive cry of your inner wounds, or it was the carefully constructed, pleasing voice of your personality, the mask you wore to navigate the world safely. Now, having cleared the inner landscape and settled into the stillness of your own being, you are finally ready to hear the voice of your essence. It is crucial to learn to differentiate these voices. The first, the voice of the wound, speaks the language of a hungry ghost. It is the voice of the frightened inner child. It says, "I need your approval. Please don't leave me. What must I do to make you love me?" It is reactive, anxious, and its primary motivation is to secure safety and validation from the outside world. It can be demanding, pleading, or even subtly manipulative, all in a desperate bid to get its deep, unmet needs fulfilled. When this voice runs your life, you are in a constant state of reaction, your well-being entirely dependent on the whims and moods of others. The second voice, the voice of the mask, is the one you likely presented to the world. This is your inner diplomat, your people pleaser. It is unfailingly polite, agreeable, and accommodating. It is an expert at avoiding conflict. It says what it believes others want to hear, not what is true for you. Its primary goal is not to express truth, but to manage perception. It wants to be seen as good, nice, spiritual, and easygoing. It will say yes when its heart is screaming no. It will swallow its own needs to keep the peace. It is the voice of a brilliant actor, but it is not the voice of a soul. The true voice, the one now emerging from your inner stillness, is of a completely different nature and quality. It arises from the grounded, centered core of your being. It does not plead, because it does not live in a state of lack. It simply states. It does not demand, because its worth is not contingent on another's response. It simply declares. It does not manipulate, because it has no hidden agenda. Its language is simple, clear, direct, and rooted in the truth of your present moment experience. It says, "This is what is true for me." It says, "That does not work for me." It says, "This is my boundary." It says, "This is what I choose." This voice is calm. It is resonant. It is felt not just in the throat, but in the entire column of your being, from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. As this true voice begins to emerge, it will inevitably trigger one of your oldest and most powerful inner conflicts, the people pleaser's dilemma. The voice of the mask, your inner diplomat, will be thrown into a state of absolute panic. It has spent a lifetime keeping you safe by being agreeable, and it sees this new, authentic voice as a reckless saboteur. It will scream warnings from the wings. Don't say that. You'll make them angry. If you set that boundary, they will think you are selfish and they will reject you. Just be nice. It's easier to just go along with it. This is the ultimate conflict between your old survival strategy, maintaining external harmony at the cost of your own Suland, the new imperative of your being, which is to live in alignment with your inner truth at all costs. In these moments, You must consciously choose your own authenticity over the world's approval. Here is the secret of your true voice. It does not need to shout. The voice of the wound often whines or screams. The voice of the mask often speaks in a high, placating tone. But the true voice simply speaks, with a quiet, grounded, and unshakable authority. Its power does not come from volume, but from resonance. Because it is aligned with the truth of your being, its words carry the immense weight and power of that truth. It does not need to posture or prove anything, because it emanates from a place of inherent self-worth. It is like a great mountain stating its own presence. It does not need to roar to be acknowledged. And because this voice arises from a place of wholeness and not from a place of fear, it is naturally compassionate. It can set a firm boundary without aggression. It can speak a difficult truth without malice. It can say no with kindness. It inherently honors its own reality while simultaneously respecting the reality of others. If speaking out your pain was the great, dramatic cracking of the dam, then speaking with your true voice is the experience of the river now flowing freely and effortlessly on its natural course to the sea. It does not need to rage or force its way through the landscape. It simply moves, following the path of least resistance, powerful not because it is violent, but because it is constant, calm, and utterly true to its own nature. It is simply and beautifully being a river. The training ground for strengthening this true voice is not in dramatic confrontations, but in the small, seemingly insignificant, daily interactions of your life. It is in the courageous practice of setting gentle, clear, and loving boundaries. Let us explore this practice. The next time a friend, colleague, or family member asks you to do something that you genuinely do not have the time, energy, or desire to do, notice your automatic, conditioned impulse to say yes to be nice. Then pause. Take one deep breath. In that breath, you create the space to make a new choice. Then, with warmth in your voice, simply say, "Thank you so much for thinking of me for this, but I'm not able to take that on right now." Notice what is not there. There is no long, elaborate excuse. There is no apology for having your own limits. A kind and simple no is a complete sentence. It is an act of profound self-respect. Practice stating your needs directly, instead of hoping others will magically guess them. Instead of growing resentful because your partner hasn't noticed you're exhausted, pause, connect with your true voice, and say, "I've had a very long day, and I need some quiet time for myself this evening." Instead of struggling with a task alone, ask a colleague, "I'm having trouble with this. I need your help for a moment, if you have one." Practice having a preference. For years, the voice of the mask has said, "Oh, I don't mind. Whatever you want is fine." This is often a lie designed to avoid the risk of disagreement. Begin to practice tuning into what you actually want. I'd actually prefer to see this movie. My preference would be to eat Italian food tonight. You are not making a demand. You are simply declaring that you are a person with desires and preferences, and that they matter. Each time you perform one of these small acts of authenticity, you are strengthening the neural pathway of your true voice. You are aligning your outer world with your inner truth. As you live more and more from this place of authenticity, as speaking with your true voice becomes your new normal, a final, beautiful transformation begins to take place. You start to look back at the long, arduous journey that brought you to this place. You see the pain, the struggle, the fortress of silence, the cracking of the dam, the dialogue with the shadow, and you find that the old charge of shame and regret has vanished. In its place, a profound and surprising sense of gratitude begins to bloom. The old wounds are no longer seen as ugly flaws or evidence of your brokenness. You begin to see them as the very portals through which this new, authentic light was able to enter your life. You begin to see your scars not as signs of damage, but as the shimmering marks of a sacred initiation. They begin to glow. From the high, clear plateau of your true voice, you find yourself looking back over the landscape of your life. And from this new vantage point, with the clear air of authenticity filling your lungs, the territory looks entirely different. The dark and terrifying valleys where you once wandered, lost and wounded, are no longer seen with fear or shame. A new and golden light illuminates them. The jagged cliffs of past traumas, once symbols of your pain, now appear as monuments to your strength. You are beginning to see your old wounds not as blemishes on your soul, but as the sacred sites of your most profound transformation. You are learning to see the exquisite beauty of your scars. Our culture is obsessed with the illusion of perfection, with the ideal of being flawless and unbroken. We see a scar as evidence of damage, something to be hidden with concealer, erased with surgery, or at the very least, never spoken of. It is a sign that we were not strong enough, not smart enough, not good enough to avoid the wound. But in the deep, subtle alchemy of the soul, this is a profound misunderstanding. The wound is not the end of the story. It is the brutal and sacred beginning of the real story. It is the point of entry for grace. It is the disruption that forces an entirely new and far more beautiful pattern to emerge. It is in the healing of our deepest wounds that we forge our greatest strengths. The wound of betrayal, once it has been witnessed and integrated, becomes the source of a profound and unshakable discernment. It teaches you the true meaning of trust, and it gives you the wisdom to build connections that are rooted in genuine integrity. The wound of abandonment, once it has been healed through the practice of radical self-acceptance, blossoms into a deep and resilient sense of self-reliance. It transforms you into a person who can be a true sanctuary for others who feel alone, because you have learned to be that sanctuary for yourself. The wound of failure, once you have released its story of shame, becomes the fertile ground for true humility, for boundless resilience, for the kind of creative innovation that can only be born from having nothing left to lose. Your deepest wounds, once you have done the courageous work of healing them, become your greatest and most unique gifts to the world. And yet, a part of you may still mourn. A tender voice may whisper, "I wish it had never happened. I wish I could erase it all and start over with a clean slate." This is a natural feeling. It is a grieving for a perceived innocence that was lost, for a simpler path that was not taken. Allow that grief to be felt. Witness it with compassion. But know this deeper truth: the soul does not long for a clean slate. A clean slate is a blank slate, a territory with no features, no character, no wisdom. It is the cracks, the breaks, the fissures, and the masterful, loving repairs that give a life its texture, its depth, and its meaning. To wish away your wounds is to wish away the very alchemical fire that has forged you into the wise, compassionate, and powerful being you are becoming. It is to wish away your own unique beauty. This leads us to the core message that mystics and poets have whispered throughout the ages. Your scars are not signs of your brokenness. They are the evidence of your healing. They are the irrefutable proof that you were stronger than whatever it was that tried to destroy you. They are a testament to the indestructible nature of your own life force. And most importantly, as the poet Rumi so beautifully said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Your scars are the points where your defenses were shattered, allowing the light of a greater consciousness, a greater love, to finally penetrate the armor of your ego. They are not there to be hidden in shame. They are there to glow. They are the luminous, golden map of your soul's journey, a testament to your courage that can, in turn, light the way for others who are lost in their own darkness. In Japan, there is an ancient and profound art form called kintsugi, which means to join with gold. When a precious piece of pottery, a bowl, a cup, a vase is broken, it is not thrown away. To do so would be to discard its history. Instead, the pieces are carefully and meticulously gathered, and they are lovingly put back together. The cracks are not hidden with invisible glue in an attempt to pretend the break never happened. On the contrary, the cracks are highlighted. They are filled with a special lacquer that has been mixed with pure powdered gold. The result is an object that is not just repaired, but is now more beautiful, more valuable, and more interesting because it has been broken. The lines of gold that now trace their way across the ceramic tell the story of its history, its resilience, and its rebirth. The bowl's brokenness has become its greatest aesthetic feature. You are that piece of pottery. Life, in its sometimes brutal wisdom, has dropped you. You have been shattered into 1,000 pieces. For years, you lived in shame among the shards, trying to hide your brokenness from the world. But through the courageous work you have done, you have been practicing the sacred art of kintsugi on your own soul. You have been gathering the shattered pieces of yourself. You have been naming them, witnessing them, dialoguing with them, and you have been lovingly mending them, not with the cheap glue of denial, but with the liquid gold of your own self-compassion, your resonant truth, and your fierce courage. Your scars are now your golden seams. They are the lines of light that trace the story of your triumphant healing. Let us practice tracing this gold now. Take your journal. Choose one significant wound from your past, one of your deepest cracks. For a moment, allow yourself to remember the sharp, clean pain of the initial break. Feel it with the compassionate presence of the sacred witness. Now, turn to a new page. We are going to map the gold that has filled this crack. Answer these questions with deep, honest reflection. First, what specific strength was forged in me because this happened? Was it resilience, independence, a new level of empathy, unshakable determination? Name the strength that was born in the fire of this experience. Second, what crucial lesson about myself, about others, or about the nature of life itself did I learn from this? A lesson I could not have learned from a book or a lecture. Third, how has this experience, now that I am healing from it, made me a more compassionate, understanding, or wiser human being? How has it deepened my capacity to connect with the suffering and the joy of others? And finally, how can this scar, this beautiful golden seam, now be a source of light or a gift to the world? Can your story inspire another? Can your hard-won wisdom ease another's journey? This is not an exercise in finding a silver lining or engaging in toxic positivity. It is a deep, honest inquiry into the profound alchemy of your own life. It is the recognition that your soul is a master artist, and it has used the most difficult materials of your life to create a work of astonishing beauty. When you can look upon your own history in this way, when you can see the shimmering golden lines of kintsugi where you once saw only ugly fractures, the past loses its final binding hold on you. It is no longer a source of shame or a defining story of victimhood. It has been fully metabolized, fully integrated. It has become a source of beauty, a source of strength, and a source of radiant light. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are now free to live completely, fully, and presently, beyond any narrative whatsoever. The golden seams of your past now glow with a quiet and integrated light. The story of your wounding and your healing has been read, it has been understood, and it has been lovingly placed in the great library of your soul. It is a treasured volume, a source of profound wisdom, but it is no longer the book you are condemned to carry with you and read aloud each day. And so, a vast and liberating question arises in the silence. If you are not the story of your past, then who are you? The answer is at once the most simple and the most radical truth you will ever embrace. You are the one who is living, right now. You are ready to take the final, courageous step beyond narrative itself. For most of our lives, we do not actually live in reality. We live in a mental simulation of reality. Our consciousness, our precious awareness, is almost never truly here, in the only moment that ever exists, the present moment. It is constantly being hijacked by the mind. It is either pulled backward into the past, where it endlessly replays old stories, relives old glories, and marinates in old grievances, or it is propelled forward into the future, where it rehearses anxieties, crafts fantasies, and worries about 1,000 scenarios that will likely never happen. The present moment, for the unawakened mind, is treated as nothing more than an inconvenient stepping stone to a future moment, or as an unfortunate consequence of a past one. We are always on our way to somewhere else. We are never truly here. To live beyond the narrative is to awaken from this dream of past and future. It is to drop out of the noisy, turbulent stream of compulsory thinking and to land gently in the deep, quiet, and vibrantly alive stream of life itself. It is to experience reality directly, without the constant, chattering filter of your mind's commentary. It is to feel the sensation of the cool air on your skin without the mind needing to label it cold. It is to truly taste the food you are eating, rather than just tasting your thoughts about the food. It is to see the world with the fresh, astonished eyes of a child, for whom everything is a miracle because nothing has yet been named, categorized, and dismissed. This state of being is called presence. It is not an empty mind. It is a state of being where you are no longer unconsciously identified with the activity of your mind. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which the thinking happens. Naturally, the thinking mind, the ego, has a profound resistance to this state. The ego is a storyteller. Its entire sense of self, its very survival, is built upon the foundation of your personal story, your past, your future, your problems, your identity. When you drop into the simple, storyless reality of the now, the ego panics. It feels as though it is dying, because its world of time and thought is dissolving. It will immediately try to pull you back into its domain. It will whisper, "This is boring. You're wasting time." It will flash an image of a past regret before your eyes. It will dangle a future anxiety for you to chew on. It will do anything to get you out of the present moment and back into the familiar prison of your thoughts. The great inner conflict at this stage is between the soul's deep, peaceful enjoyment of the now and the mind's conditioned, restless addiction to narrative. It is the choice between the richness of what is and the conceptual poverty of what you think about what is. And so we arrive at this liberating message. You have spent a lifetime believing you were a character trapped in a pre-written story, a story of pain and limitation. The truth you are now awakening to is infinitely grander. You are not a character in the book of your life. You are not even a chapter. You are the entire book, from the first page to the last. And you are also the silent, conscious reader, the one turning the pages. And most importantly, you are the author, holding the pen. And in every single present moment, you have the absolute power to begin a new paragraph, a new page, a new chapter. Your past does not write your future unless you unconsciously allow it to by living there in your mind. Your power is never in the past or in the future. Your power is always and only ever now. We have a flawed perception of time. We imagine our life as a long, straight line, stretching from a fixed past into a distant future, and we see ourselves as a traveler moving along this line. This illusion is the source of immense stress and suffering. Life is not a line. It is a necklace made of an infinite number of luminous pearls, and each pearl is a perfect, complete, and eternal moment of now. You are not a traveler moving along the necklace from one pearl to the next. You are always, and can only ever be, experiencing the single pearl upon which your awareness is currently resting. The pearls behind you are memories. The pearls ahead of you are possibilities. But the only place life ever truly happens, the only place you ever truly are, is in the pearl of this present moment. There is nowhere to get to. There is nothing to achieve. You are already here. You have already arrived. The path to living beyond narrative, to inhabiting this pearl of the now is not found in complex spiritual techniques. It is found in bringing your full, undivided awareness to the simple, mundane moments of your daily life. This is the practice of mindfulness. It is the art of anchoring yourself in the reality of your senses. Let us practice this together. The next time you have a cup of tea or coffee, resolve to make it a 2-minute ceremony of presence. Before you even lift the cup, look at it. Notice the color of the liquid, the shape of the mug. Feel its warmth radiating into your hands. See the steam rising in delicate patterns. Inhale the aroma, letting it be the only thing in your universe for a single breath. Then, when you sip, do not gulp it down while thinking about your to-do list. Truly taste it. Feel the warm liquid on your tongue. For those 2 minutes, your only purpose in life is to drink tea. When your mind inevitably wanders, gently and without judgment, guide it back to the sensory reality of the experience. When you are walking from your car to your office, or from one room of your house to another, just walk. Instead of being lost in thought, bring your attention into your body. Feel the sensation of your feet connecting and disconnecting with the ground. Feel the subtle shift of weight in your hips. Feel the air moving past your skin. Notice the world around you, the play of light and shadow, the sounds of birds or traffic, the smells in the air. For that short journey, be the walking. Do not be a mind that is having a walk. Be the pure experience of walking itself. Turn a simple automatic act, like washing your hands, into a portal to the present moment. As you turn on the water, feel its temperature on your skin. Hear the sound it makes as it flows from the tap. Feel the slippery texture of the soap. Watch the bubbles form, shimmer, and dissolve. For the 30 seconds it takes to wash your hands, be completely and utterly present with that simple, rich, sensory experience. These small, mundane acts, when infused with your presence, become powerful anchors to reality. They are portals out of the prison of conceptual thought and into the boundless freedom of what is. As you practice living in this state, anchored in the reality of the present moment, the boundaries of your small, story-based self begin to soften and dissolve. A profound realization dawns. You are not just the walker, you are the walking. You are not just the drinker of the tea, you are the entire, unified experience of the tea. The persistent sense of a separate me who is the protagonist of a story begins to fade, and it is replaced by a sense of simply being life itself. The pearl of the present moment begins to feel less like a solid object and more like a doorway. And as you peer through that doorway, you glimpse the infinite, luminous ocean of which the pearl is but a single, solidified drop. You are on the verge of knowing yourself not just as a temporary wave, but as the entire, eternal ocean of being. The pearl of the present moment, once a small, solid point of focus, now dissolves into the water that surrounds it. You fall through the doorway of the now, into the vast, luminous ocean of which the pearl was but a single, fleeting expression. The journey that began in the dense, contracted, and suffocating prison of your unspoken pain has led you here to the boundless, shoreless, and utterly free expanse of the infinite sky of being. This is not a concept. It is a direct experience of your own true nature. This is the state that the mystics of all traditions, using 1,000 different names, have always pointed to. It is the experience of oneness, of non-duality, where the rigid and artificial boundary between self and other melts away. The persistent, lifelong feeling of being a separate mere, small, anxious, skin-encapsulated ego defined by a unique history of wounds and triumphs begins to feel like a distant memory, a costume you once wore, a role you once played with great conviction. You begin to realize, on a cellular level, that your consciousness is not something you have. It is not a personal possession generated by your brain. You realize that consciousness is what you are, and this consciousness, This fundamental awareness that is looking out from behind your eyes is not your personal property. It is universal. It is the same silent, intelligent awareness that animates the pulsing stars, that unfurls the fern frond, that beats the heart of every living creature on this planet. The only thing that makes your consciousness seem unique is the specific and temporary collection of memories, beliefs, and sensations it is currently filtering through the lens of you. The light is the same. It is only the projector slides that are different. In this recognition, the deep, aching wound of your lifelong isolation is finally and completely healed. You are not a lonely fragment. You are, and always have been, a seamless part of the whole. You belong to everything, because everything is an expression of what you are. As this sense of boundless, spacious awareness grows, the last remnants of the ego, your personal story, may make a final, terrified cry. This expansion feels like death to the part of you that has defined itself by its limitations. If I am everything, then I am nothing in particular. It screams, I will be dissolved. My unique story will be lost. My struggles will have meant nothing. I will be annihilated. This is the ultimate fear, the fear of oblivion, and it must be met with the ultimate compassion. This is not the death of you. It is the death of your prison. It is the final, liberating death of the illusion of your separation. A wave, as it approaches the shore, does not truly die when it merges back into the ocean. It simply relinquishes its temporary, individual form and remembers its true and eternal nature as the entire, powerful ocean. It gives up the struggle of being a separate wave and returns to the boundless power and peace of its source. Your soul does not fear this union. It has yearned for it since the moment of its apparent departure into individual form. This is the ultimate homecoming. And from this expansive state, you can look back on your personal journey with a new, cosmic perspective. A great and final realization dawns. The entire journey you have undertaken, the courageous act of speaking your pain, of naming your ghosts, of healing your wounds, of finding your true voice, was ultimately not just for you. Every time you chose truth over silence, you were not just liberating your own small life, you were adding a single precious drop of clarity to the entire ocean of collective human consciousness. Every time you chose to meet your own shame with compassion, you made it infinitesimally easier for all of humanity to do the same. Every time you bravely chose to forgive yourself, you loosened the chains of guilt for everyone. You did not just heal yourself to be happier, you healed yourself to heal the world. By clearing the dense, painful static of your own unresolved trauma, you have become a clearer channel. You have become a cleaner vessel through which peace, love, and sanity can flow through you and into the world around you. Your personal liberation is not a selfish act. It is your greatest possible gift to the whole. By becoming a beacon of peace, you give others permission to find their own. We have used the metaphor of the sky and the clouds, saying that you are the sky and your emotions are the passing clouds. This was a helpful and necessary step on the journey. But now, from this new altitude, we go deeper. You come to realize that you are not even the sky. You are the infinite, silent, and invisible space in which the entire drama of the sky appears. You are the space that allows for the existence of the clouds of emotion, the weather of your life circumstances, and even the blue sky of your peaceful mind. You are the context, not the content. You are the changeless, formless awareness in which all of life's changing phenomena, pain, joy, fear, peace, birth, death appear, have their moment, and disappear. You are the silent screen upon which the entire movie of your life is projected. And realizing this, you find the ultimate freedom. Nothing can touch you, because you are the space that allows everything to be. Let us engage in one final practice to anchor this realization. On the next clear night, go outside. If you can, get away from the glare of city lights. Stand on the earth, feel its solidity beneath your feet, and look up at the sky. Let your eyes relax and drink in the vastness. See the incomprehensible number of stars scattered like diamond dust on black velvet. See the silent, majestic sweep of the Milky Way. Feel the deep, profound and intelligent darkness that holds all of this light within its embrace. As you look, contemplate this simple, scientific and spiritual fact. Every heavy element within your body, the iron in your blood that carries oxygen, the calcium in your bones that gives you structure, the carbon that forms the very basis of your cells was forged in the heart of a star that lived, died, and exploded billions of years ago. You are not just looking at the cosmos, you are an intimate part of it, looking back at itself. The universe is not out there. A significant part of it is in here, embodied as you. Feel this connection, not as an idea, but as a living reality. Feel the boundary between the skin of you and the night sky begin to soften and blur. Let the vast, silent stillness of the cosmos permeate the vast, silent stillness you have cultivated within you. Realize that you are as ancient, as vast, and as mysterious as what you are seeing. You are, quite literally, stardust, awakened. You have journeyed from the cramped, dark prison of your unspoken pain to the boundless freedom of the infinite sky of being. You have followed the thread of your own individual truth, inward and downward, and it has led you outward and upward to the truth of the whole of existence. The work of healing is not over, for life is a continuous unfolding, a constant process of growth and discovery. But the great war, the inner civil war against your own being, is done. The primary and painful illusion of your separation from life has been seen through. Now, let us prepare to gather all the precious, hard-won wisdom of this long journey. Let us prepare to walk back into the world, no longer as a desperate seeker of healing, but as a quiet and powerful carrier of peace. We began this journey together with a question: what is the sound of a word that has never been spoken? We described it as a scream held captive, an anchor of immense weight, a resonance that shaped your world from the silent depths. And now, after the long, courageous journey inward through the architecture of silence, past the fear of the floodgates, into the light of your own witnessing, we know the answer. The sound of the unspoken word, when finally met with the warmth of your own compassion, is not a scream that shatters the world. It is not the roar of a breaking dam that floods the landscape. It is a quiet sigh of release, a soft, gentle whisper that dissolves perfectly and peacefully into the vast stillness of your own being. The anchor did not need to be destroyed. It simply needed to be unchained, revealing itself to be a treasure chest of forgotten strength. The ghost did not need to be exorcised. It simply needed to be seen, and in the seeing, it became a wise and trusted guide. The dam did not need to be dynamited. It simply needed to be understood, so that its great power could be channeled into the life-giving flow of your true voice. You have walked the alchemist's path. You have learned the sacred art of turning the dull, heavy lead of your personal suffering into the pure, shining gold of wisdom and compassion. Do not mistake this for an endpoint. This is an initiation. You have not been given a map that leads to a final destination called healed. You have been handed the tools and taught the craft of being your own healer, your own alchemist, for the rest of your life's unfolding journey. You now know the way home to yourself. You know how to listen. You know how to witness. You know how to translate your inner truth into outer form. The silence you now feel within you is not the dead, heavy silence of suppression. It is the vibrant, living silence of presence. It is the profound quiet of the lake after the storm, its surface now so still it perfectly reflects the boundless sky. This stillness is not empty, it is fertile. It is the sacred ground upon which a life of true purpose, authenticity, and peace can finally be built, not as a desperate escape from pain, but as a joyful expression of your own whole being. Go now and live from this space. Speak from this stillness. Create from this wholeness. Your true voice, clear and resonant, is waiting to be heard. And the universe, which has been leaning in all this time, is finally ready to listen.